We're live. Hello. We're talking about house sitting today. We're talking about Black women house sitting today. More specifically, we're talking about where in the world are Black women house sitting, how in the world are Black women house sitting, and why in the world are Black women out here house sitting. We're going to talk to hopefully a whole bunch of special guests today. I'm Stephanie, but first let me introduce myself. I'm Stephanie Perry. I'm a house sitter and the creator of House Sitter School. I'm the co-creator of Exodus Summit, and I help Black women bop around the world as a nomad, take a career break or sabbatical, move abroad while embracing ease. If these things sound good to you, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, please, and turn on notifications. Ring the bell. I'll wait. Thank you. Now you'll be notified when I post a new video or when I go live with a friend. Hey, friend. April, introduce yourself.
Hello. Hi, I'm Apriel. This is Roxy. She's 7 months old and a little nuts. But yeah, I learned to house sit thanks to you, Stephanie, and your house sitter school, your toolkit.
Yeah.
And I've mostly done it outside the US, but I just had my second local one with Roxy. So
Yes. A question that I get all the time is, can I house sit with? Can I house it with another person, a child, a spouse, a partner, a friend? Can I house it with my pets? So you've done both of those.
I have. I have.
Tell
Yeah.
me.
So I rescued Roxy the beginning of June. And about a week after I got her, um, my niece needed a place to stay. So my niece came to stay with me.
Okay.
And so I had both of them on a house sit with two other dogs, a local house sit for 2 weeks. And they had a great time. My niece loved getting to know slightly bigger dogs because she had some phobia before that. And Roxy loved having other dogs to play with, and the host was great. And I think it was the third one I applied for. The other two, the dogs were bigger and
Okay.
way too aggressively excited. So
Okay.
Roxy's only 3.5 pounds, and big aggressive dogs don't work for her.
Right.
Um,
Three and a half
so
pounds, really? Oh.
yeah, it's mostly fur and attitude. Yeah, I'm gonna put her down so she can play with her
Okay.
toys. But
Okay. Nice to see you,
um,
Roxy. Have a good day.
yeah. But
She's
yeah,
adorable. She's so cute.
she's very cute. It's a good thing she's cute because she's way too much puppy energy right now. But yeah,
So you did the local house sit. Local to you is where?
DC area.
Okay.
So I'm in DC proper. The house that was in Bethesda, right outside the city limits.
Great. And it took you three applications to find someone who was fine, who you worked together. You liked the size and the aggressive level of aggressiveness or non-aggressiveness of their dog, and they were fine with you
Right.
and your niece and your dog coming to house sit.
Yeah. So it was. I wanted to get a little bit bigger space after we had my space is not that big.
Okay.
And I wanted to give my niece, like, they had a pool in their community, and so it had some benefits. She would have a chance to hang out, see a different part of town, and Roxy would get some socialization with the other 2 dogs that were there, and so it's a good fit for us.
Good. Is your niece a grown up?
No, she's 16.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. So you hit the trifecta, the three questions that people ask then, because she's
Yeah,
still a child, and
yeah.
because, well, I guess that's two, and because you also have a dog that you wanted to take on your house sit. All right.
Right, right, and it was very lucky that, because we were local, we got a chance to meet in person with my niece and with Roxy beforehand,
Okay.
but she had actually already made me the offer
Oh,
before we even met her. I think because she's an experienced house sitter, she saw my reviews, she thought it would be a good match.
yeah.
Um, I just didn't accept until we met, and I thought it would work out.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that's a wonderful thing about being house sitting locally, even if it's not the local place where you live, just house sitting in a place where you already are, is what I mean.
Mhm.
House sitting in a place where you already are means that you can meet them if you want, right? You can meet them, you
Exactly.
can check it out, you can see the house if you want to, you can meet the pet. Usually it's about like, let's see if this pet is going to be okay with you. Some people just
Yeah.
feel are really nervous about how their pet is going to react. Not that their pets are so bad and rowdy, but just like, let's make sure she likes you. Yeah.
Yeah. And And now I have more questions. So even if I were doing this at a distance, I know what questions I would ask about the other pet and just about how they run their household and how they feel about a puppy. Because some people would be like, my house is too perfect. If a puppy has an accident, I'm going to lose my shit. Right.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah, all these clients are people. They're all people, right? They're
Yeah.
Everybody has different priorities or needs or wants or whatever. You have conversations with them and work things out. Decide if it's going to work for you. If you
Yeah.
both are in. If you both are a yes. So tell us
Yeah.
about where else in the world. So your recent house sit was in the DMV in the DC area. Where else in the world have
Yeah.
you been house sitting?
I've done house sits in the UK. I've done several in Australia and New Zealand. And even one of the ones I had in New Zealand, they loaned me a car because one of their dogs was reactive around walking out of their into their neighborhood. So they're like, it's better if you put them in the car and drive to the beach and then she doesn't go crazy. So
Okay.
yeah,
That's
yeah, it was
nice.
so that was my first experience driving on the left side.
Okay.
And I actually took your advice and just followed what the other cars were doing,
Just
and
do
it
what they
worked
do,
out fine.
right?
Right.
That's the whole secret to doing something new. Just do what they're doing. Okay. They'll show you the way. Okay,
Yeah.
good. When were you in New Zealand?
This was over a year ago. So this was last March, April. I was in Australia and New Zealand for 2 months, and I
Tell
did
it.
a bunch of house sits.
Tell us the difference between Australia and New Zealand. What are the difference? I know that's not what this conversation's.
Um,
And Yolanda, I'll be right. I see
well,
you in the green room. I'll be right with you. Hi.
yeah, I have closer friends, particularly in Brisbane and Australia, but in
Okay.
generally, I find people in New Zealand friendlier,
Okay.
easier to get along with, just more laid back in some ways.
Okay.
But I like them both for different reasons. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was near the Brisbane area in Gold Coast, just like just a few minutes north of
Oh, yeah, I've
Brisbane.
been to Gold Coast. Yep.
I really liked that part of Australia better than the other parts that I went to, but that's just,
Yeah.
again, it was probably because I liked the people there, the family that I stayed with. I liked them better than the other people on the other side. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was that
Yeah.
little bit.
I love riding the ferries in Sydney Harbor.
Oh,
But I
okay.
didn't meet the friendliest people in Sydney.
You said you did not?
I did not. No.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. I submit that Australians are not good people. Right? I accept your friends who probably moved there. I hope your friends probably moved there.
So one of them is from Brisbane, from the
Mhm.
same area where they live, but she lived in the States, which is where she met her husband. And
Okay.
then they moved back there after 10 years in the States. So
Okay. So
they're a mixed
ex-
marriage.
except for them and the family that I stayed with, the mom and the kids and the husband that I stayed, except with a few exceptions. That's my overall opinion of Australian people. As a black person, it's probably not a place where you're going to be like, "Oh, I love the people here." Right? You might like the look of things. And then New Zealand, did you get to where were you in the city in what is the city? Wellington?
Auckland.
Auckland?
Um,
Yeah.
so I've spent the most time in Auckland. I was in Wellington for a while, and then the one at the beach was about an hour north of Wellington.
Mm,
So it was a little beach town.
okay.
And all those places, people were friendly, happy to help. Yeah.
I think in my mind, those beach towns in New Zealand are like staying on a lake in Canada. Does that make sense to you? And would you agree with me? Am I right about that? Like, like on in the TV movies, and like a
It was
Hallmark
very
travel.
comfortable. Yeah, very nice. People are helpful and friendly, and yeah, I had a good time.
Okay, good, good. All right. So, is there
Yeah.
anything you want to tell us? Thank you for joining in. Is there anything you and Roxy want to tell us about house sitting before you go? Anything else we didn't
Um,
cover?
no, I mean, I think like anything else with house sitting, you have to do your due diligence, but I've had really good I know some people have not always had great experiences, but I've had really good experiences. But I take my time. I really try and get to know people, and having frank, open conversation helps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I say all the time, they're people. They're people. If you have needs, you need to express them. If you have needs, you
Yep.
need to express them. If you have questions, concerns, whatever, they're human people. Good. Okay. I'm super glad that you and Roxy and your niece enjoyed your first joint house sit. I hope that
Yep.
you have many more amazing house sits to
Thank
come.
you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a
Apriel.
great day.
You
All
too.
righty.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye.
I have a couple of people in the guest in the green room, right? Ecamm Live calls it a green room. Hey, Yolanda, and hey, I saw a name, but it disappeared. So, okay, I think you disappeared. You can come back. I just want to say hi to you guys in the chat first because I didn't do that. Hi, everyone. We do say good morning over here. So if you're here watching us live or if you're watching from the future, if you're watching the replay, hello, friends in the future. I hope it's awesome there. Say good morning or say good afternoon or good evening. Give a greeting. Okay, that's a thing that we do here. So, hey, KJ around the world. Hello, Princess Umi. Hello, Nirel. Hello, Free Spirit. Hello. I lost my place. I'm sorry. Okay. Hi, Myra and Princess Umi. We already said hi. Hey, Mara. Hi, everybody. Good morning, everyone. Miss April Frank, UX. Kenyatta. Hi. See Boykin. Hi, guys. All right. So I'm going to check some questions in the chat. Hi, Latina. Hi, Ray. I'm going to check some questions in the chat as we go. I'm going to try. If you have questions for the person who's on the screen, write question before your question, if you don't mind, because the chat moves quickly and, But I what I did was I just hollered at my house sitting friends inside of the Exodus Summit Facebook group and from my newsletter and from the Patreon and said if you've been house sitting or if you have house sat because of me, because I'm taking the credit, okay? If you have house sat because of me, please join me on the live stream. And so you're going to see a stream of women live. It's going to be a stream. Speaking of streams and women and live, hey, Yolanda,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing
Okay,
great.
okay.
This
Yolanda,
is,
I think I know where you are in the world, but I'm not sure. Are you still in Zaragoza, Spain?
yes, I am. Yes, I
Okay.
am. It is 4 o'clock in the evening or in the afternoon here, and it's about 106 degrees, and
No.
I'm sitting in some nice AC. Yeah.
Her.
Yeah.
So I guess everybody's in the heat wave. Okay, okay. Everybody. So
Yeah, it's everywhere. I went out Thursday night because I do like a language exchange gathering. They do it every other Thursday. And when I took the tram home, I left about maybe 11 from the location.
mhm.
And when I got off the tram, it was like, I mean, it was about 11:30 and it was so busy and the kids were in the playground just playing at 11:30 at night because they don't come out
Yeah.
during the day in the middle of the heat. And
No.
so yeah, early in the morning before 11, you'll see the kids playing and they have playgrounds everywhere here in Zaragoza.
Okay.
And then yeah, after 9, people start coming out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because
And
sun
so
probably
so
doesn't set till close to 8 anyway, 8:30
the
anyway.
sun right now doesn't set until about 10:15.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it's so strange to me because Costa Rica is down not too far from like the equator, but our sun
Hmm.
sets really early. Sunset here is like 5:30.
Oh
Okay.
wow. Yeah.
I don't
No, right
understand.
now during the
I
summer when the time changed. Yeah.
don't understand things. Okay, I need to figure some things out. Okay. All right, but
Yeah.
that's what we're here to talk about. Let's talk about
I
house
know.
sitting. Tell us everything. Tell us why you're
So.
house sitting, how you're house sitting, where you're house sitting. Tell us, spill.
Well, it was because of you. Yes, it's because of you. I was following you. Okay.
Thank
Yeah. I back in 2022 when I was like looking at how I wanted to maybe change some things up, and I had already been working remote since 2018, and when it was time for me to renew my lease at my apartment in Dallas, and I was like, I don't think I want to pay $2,000 a month in rent anymore. I was
you.
like, I'm kind of sick of it. So when I started doing the research and I found, you and Rashida and Adelia and just talking, and that's when at some point in September, October, somewhere around there, I heard you talking about pet sitting.
Right.
And I was like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so but to jump forward, my first pet sit was November, Thanksgiving 2022. I had gone back down to Houston and found this pet sit. I followed, I got your template. Well, let me just say also, I got the template letter when you sign up, when I signed up for your email and you got the template letter. I kind of, zhuzhed it up to make it my own.
Right. That's right. I'm just
Oh,
pointing
okay.
at it on the screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, no, you're good. You're good.
I was like, can you not hear me?
No, you're perfect. We can hear you great and see you great. No, I'm
Oh,
pointing on the
okay.
screen as Vanna White would.
Got you. Got you. It's just so yeah, and yeah, it took me, I guess about maybe, I think it was probably like maybe four times before
Mhm.
I did like four applications before I was finally, accepted. And this wonderful couple, and they wanted me to come for Thanksgiving, and then I was coming back for Christmas, and that's where it started. And I think like right after that first sit, it was like my lease was up at the end of January. And
Okay.
here, well, in the States, you have to give like, or at least in Texas, you have to give 2 months notice. So I, for an apartment complex, yeah, they want 2 months notice before you move out.
Okay.
And so right after that first sip, I was like, yeah, I'm not paying rent no more. I'm not doing that for a while. So I gave notice and I started scheduling my pet sits again after January, after I gave up my apartment and got some things in order and figuring out some things. And yeah, I just started pet sitting full time.
Yeah.
Um, so like I gave up my apartment January 27th, and then the next day I was like 2 days later I was in a pet sit in Houston. That was my first pet sit without an apartment or anywhere. So working out those logistics of
Yeah.
being a full-time pet sitter,
Yeah.
you have to be very you have to be like working on those logistics all the time to make sure that you know what you're going to do in between pet sits and everything. But yeah, it's just it's been great. I did my first international pet sit was in Morocco
Hmm.
last year because I couldn't make it to the Exodus
Sure.
Summit, but in Morocco in Marrakesh, but I still had the airline ticket. And so I was like, well, let's go on Trusted House Sitters to see what opportunities. I didn't know at the time. I was like, Rabat. Oh, okay. Had never heard of Rabat.
Yeah.
Never heard of Rabat. So and I
Rabat
thought
is
it was
a
like,
little
oh well then you can
north.
just pop yeah, it's north. It's the capital of Morocco
Okay.
and it's north. In my mind though, I was like, well I can still pop over to Marrakesh. It's no big deal. No. That I mean I could have, but no, not taking care of animals.
Uh-huh.
But I thought I was just going to do a day trip and it'd be like, oh, it's fine.
Uh,
No.
yeah.
But Rabat was a beautiful experience. It was I went during Ramadan. That was some challenges because, a chick couldn't get a cocktail to save her life.
Okay.
But uh, it was a wonderful, beautiful experience to be there. And I had some family and friends was like, so you just going to Morocco by yourself? I was like, well, I won't be by myself. Okay. As who is that? Gallivanting grandma says, you don't go by yourself, you going with yourself.
Right. Right.
Yes.
That's
Wherever I go with myself.
yeah. So, um, giving up your home to house it, giving up your
Hmm.
apartment to house it full time takes some planning and prep. Those 2 months. What?
Hmm.
How would you say that 2 months is enough time for a person to get rid of? Like, did you get rid of your stuff? Did you store your
No,
stuff? Did you? Okay.
yeah, I was like, I still got a storage for a few things. Yeah, I had some things that I had to, and I got my storage in Houston, but like my main furniture and all that. And the reason why is because I said, okay, well, you're not going to be the thing that hurt me the most was I had just bought like a whole brand new living room set and a TV like just within that year, like
Yeah.
at the beginning of 2022. So
Yeah.
for me to be getting rid of this, and I was trying to sell some stuff and some things I was able to sell, and then what I wasn't able to sell, I said I needed to let go to let in whatever was supposed to be happening,
Okay.
whatever was about to be happening in my life. So
Okay.
whatever I could not sell, and at a reasonable price. I mean, some people were offering some very offensive, monies in exchange for my good furniture, and I just donated. Um, I found like one program that helps women in getting out of domestic violence situations. So I donated to them, and what they couldn't take or what they couldn't take like my big furniture. because I was on the fourth floor,
Okay.
and they wouldn't come. And yeah, and I wasn't going to pay. It was just the logistics of whether you're going to pay somebody to move this and to donate. Anyways, out of the closet, actually came and got my furniture that I couldn't just donate or bring to a specific location. So they came, they inspected the furniture, and they were like, yes, and then they took what they could. Yeah,
Okay.
and the rest, yeah. So I was able to get rid of a lot of stuff. There was a whole mourning process that I went through with
Okay.
letting go of my things, because
It
I'm like, girl,
was, you
what are you
said?
doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was. I. But again, I had to keep telling myself, you. There's a bigger purpose here.
Hmm.
There is a bigger purpose that's going on right now, and right now you're about to go on a discovery of, and saving your money. Okay,
Hmm.
saving my money.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I was able to let go, and my I got like, I think my storage unit that I have is like a 10 by 10. It's a small storage.
Okay.
Yeah, like two
Okay.
closet size. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So can we talk a little bit about money? Do you have an, because, so you're house sitting back to back, and then in between house sits, you stay with your daughter sometimes in Spain. Am I right about that?
Okay, so when I first started doing the pet sitting,
Uh-huh.
and being a traveling pet sitter,
Yes.
I was still based in Texas at the time.
Okay.
So I was in Texas. That was my main area. Like I had come to Spain like maybe one time before. This is before I just moved here like in April.
Right.
But before I was here a year ago, and that's also when I went to Morocco for that pet sit.
Okay.
But overall, the past year has been mostly based in Texas.
Okay.
So yeah. So I was still, well, I was doing some working remote in my field, and that I could take my job anywhere, and so I was still earning my own income, but I wasn't like having to pay rent. Now I did put aside like I budgeted for like $500 a month for the times that maybe if my oldest daughter who lives in Houston, and then I have one of my best friends. She was like, "Girl, anytime you need a place to stay in between,
Okay.
So I was covered.
Okay.
But just in case, I would just budget like $500 a month. That said, if you need to get an Airbnb,
Okay.
if you need to get a hotel for a couple of days in between sits, that I have that money set aside. Now,
Did that work? Yeah.
the first time that I actually had to use it
Uh-huh.
was like 6 months later, and I was complaining. I was like, I don't want to spend this money. Okay, I don't want to. Okay, that's a
Okay.
lot of
So
money.
you were able in Texas, you were
Hmm.
able to house sit back to back and stack your house sits so as to not have to pay for a place to stay for 6 months
Hmm.
between that and
Yeah, roughly. Now I did spend like a month and a half in Spain last year,
okay.
but yeah, in between that overall, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then like I did a pet sit, in July. Was it July? End of July, beginning of August. I did a pet sit. I was 2 weeks in San Diego.
Yeah.
Um,
So, but
yeah. So
did you keep your car in Texas?
I kept my car up until the last day that I moved here in April.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
in
how you
Texas,
got,
I would drive.
okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All
So
right.
I would go like usually I'm a city. I don't my preference is not to be out in the uh country areas. I like to be in city, Austin, Dallas, Houston. That's where I want to be. I don't really care for San Antonio. It's not my jam.
Okay.
But yeah, Austin, Dallas. So I would like triangle and just be like, okay, well, I'm going to drive up here, and yeah, so I'd have my living out of a suitcase. I'm happy to have my flat here now, but
Yeah.
I also had my pillows, my comfort things, my
Right.
blanket that I love. That's just mine. Yeah. So
Yeah.
my
It's
bed
nice.
linen. Yeah.
It's nice when you're doing a road trip house sit, right? When you can house sit and bring your car with you, you can bring anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's really comfort.
Yep.
It's really comforting.
I had my nice SUV, and yeah, it was packed up.
When I did that in Florida, I had to explain to people when I pulled up to their driveway why there was so much stuff in my car. I had a cooler, I had a little picnic basket thing, like a go RV and had given me a picnic basket and stuff. I'm like, listen, I'm not moving in, I promise. I don't want all this stuff with me while I'm
Like,
here.
oh Lord, we got a squatter on our hands. It's like, no, relax.
I promise you, I'm gonna leave when you come back. I just wanted my stuff. Wanted my stuff with me.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Can you tell us, is there anything about house sitting? Oh, no. First, I want to answer Faithful Jones's question. Why do people need a house sitter? What are the situations when they bring you in? And then how long are average house sits? So your clients, the house sits that you've taken so far, uh, where are these people going? And why do they need a house sitter? And how long are they gone?
Everywhere for any reason. I've done a pet sit one time that was just one day.
Hmm.
And then I've done a pet sit that was, I think the longest one I did was 5 weeks.
Okay.
Because I did the one in Puerto Vallarta, that was 1 month.
Uh-huh.
And then I did another one in Houston because the couple had gone to the Philippines.
Hmm.
And yeah, and so yeah, I stayed at their house for, no, I think it was 3 weeks there. And then I did 4 or 5 weeks in Puerto Vallarta. I had one pet sit there that was, yeah, and it was so funny because yeah, I had some friends and family. It's like, because it was during, over the Christmas and New Year's, and they were like, "Oh my God, what are you gonna do? What about family and friends?" I was like, "Girl, I will be in Puerto Vallarta. What are you talking about? Okay,
Okay.
I will be just fine."
The beach is my friend. Okay.
Yeah, it's
The pool.
cool. I
The
and I-
pool.
and found wonderful community wherever I go.
That,
Yeah. So,
that's right.
but yeah, to answer the question, I mean, people, they could be gone just for their own. I had one lady that I did a pet sit for her three cats, and she was actually going to pet sit someplace else. She just liked
Right.
to get away sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. So it just varies. They could be going somewhere domestic, somewhere overnight. They might just be doing their own staycation in the city, or they
Uh-huh.
might be going to another country for a couple of weeks.
That's right. For
And
any
so,
reason,
so
they need to go
yeah,
away for some reason.
yeah,
Usually vacation, but for some reason they need to go away, and they normally have pets that they want taken care of. And so that can
yes,
be any amount of time. In America, most people are gone for less than most. I would say in the United States, most house sits are a week or less, a week or less, because Americans don't
hmm,
get a lot of time to travel. But once you open up to international house sitting, you're more likely to find those long-term house sits. 3 months. I see
yeah,
6 months on trusted house sitters sometimes.
hmm,
It's
yep,
easier for people in other countries to take longer breaks from their home than it is for Americans. That doesn't mean I've done no. I think I did a full summer house sit in the US. I did a full summer house sit
okay, yeah,
in Florida once. So there are exceptions to everything, but generally in the US, house sits are going to be a week or less, except for the exceptions. And then
yeah.
outside of the country, they tend to be a little longer.
And I've been having like major FOMO right now. It's because I just moved into my own apartment here in
Oh,
Zaragoza like 3 weeks ago, and so
oh,
well actually it's been a month now. Wow, but it's so funny because I still get these notifications about like there was one in La Paz, Mexico that was like for 3 weeks, and I was like, ooh, and I was like, girls, sit
sit down,
down,
sit
turn
down.
off the notifications.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have a pet sit that's coming up that I go this coming Wednesday in Madrid.
Oh,
So, and
okay.
it's 10 days back in Madrid. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, I'm still pet sitting. Yeah. Just
Good,
because I like it and I like to be able to go back to Madrid or to Barcelona or whatever right now. And it provides free accommodations for me to go and explore and have fun. And yeah,
good.
yeah.
All right. I'm so glad that you love it.
Yes, I absolutely. It's just been a game changer. It's been an amazing game changer. Has there been some challenges at times? Absolutely, but the good outweighs any kind of challenges that I've experienced.
Good. Tell us one challenge or two in a quick.
Okay, so well, one I've told this story to some other people may have already heard it is the time I went and I did not do the pre-check-in. Usually I go and meet the owners like the day before they leave, but I was coming from Houston to Austin, so I did not do the official pre-check-in to meet the pets before. And so she just left the key, and one of the dogs was like, "You're not coming in here. I don't know who you think you are." Yeah. That dog was like, "No, girl." And she was like, "Oh," and the owner was when I called her, I was like, "I can't get in." It was two dogs and three cats, and I couldn't. And one of the dogs was like, "No, try me."
What
And,
did you have to do?
I ended up well when I called the lady one, she was like, I don't know, like it was almost like she was blaming me, and she was like, "Well, just go in. You have to be a servant." It's like, lady, I'm not the dog
I don't
whisperer, and
know
I'm
that
not
dog.
going to find out.
I don't
I'm
know
not going
that.
to mess around and find out with this dog.
Uh-huh.
So she ended up having to call one of her friends who came over and walked me in with, and then everything was fine. Everything was gravy.
Mhm.
Yeah, everything was gravy after that. The dogs were fine.
That dog
And so,
didn't act up at all the rest of the
yeah, the best
session.
guard dog for me. Yeah, I was like, I wish somebody would try to break in here. Okay.
Right. Okay.
um, the other one that was it was a challenge. Wonderful family. I haven't told this one yet, but their house, it was two cats. Love the cats. Best personality. The problem was there was no blinds on the windows
Mhm.
at all. So into the backyard, and this was an older neighborhood. So it was like into the backyard, like where the kitchen was, no blinds, and you just saw darkness. I mean, I was like, I'm in a scary, scary movie right now because I was just knew somebody's gonna pop up on that window. Just so, and then I asked him. I said, I really do need something to cover the windows. They had already left, and I was like, I really need something to cover these windows. And they were like, well, if you just go out to the shed out back, it was like this old rickety shed. Just go out to the shed. I think we have some like paper blinds there. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I went to Home Depot or somewhere and just like got me some blinds, and they reimbursed me, and I had to hang up some little paper blinds just so I could feel safe. Okay, I'm like, how do you guys just walk around with no covering? But it was just, and I've been to houses like that before, but that was just a little different. Like, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, that was like this is awkward.
A lot of people do not have blinds. If I have my own house, you will find that I'm not putting up window coverings. I'm not doing it. Okay. If they're window coverings,
Well,
it's because somebody else did it. I'm not doing it either.
and don't make no mistake. I've been in plenty of houses that it always surprises me. But I've always felt like at least I can turn on the lights and see. Like in the back area, the back patio area, or the backyard area, I can still see.
Uh-huh.
That particular house, it was like no, it was like just staring out into a dark abyss. It
Uh-huh.
was. I was like, I don't know who is looking in, and the houses really. It wasn't like the houses were like far apart. They were like right. So if somebody wanted to stare in from next door, they could see me. It was yeah. So it was awkward, but I was there. I did that. I was in that pet sit for 2.5 weeks. Yeah, 2.5 weeks. Wonderful. I loved it. The cats were so much fun. That was one of my best pet sits of 2023. Was that pet sit? Besides the creepy, no coverings. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wonderful. Okay. Thanks so much for sharing, Yolanda. I didn't know that you had
no
your own.
problem.
Maybe we'll talk sometime about your rental process and stuff on the channel.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. No problem.
Have
Thanks
a
for having
wonderful
me.
afternoon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so Precious and someone else is in the green room. Okay, Danica. So Precious, I'm about to bring you on up. If you can hear me, I'm about to bring you on the thing. But first, I just want to see if there's anything I need to uh, see in the chat. I don't know. What if you don't like pets? I would look at trusted house sitters right now. Seriously, it's August and it's house sitter. We're coming up on the end of the summer season. So I would use my link, okay? Look at trusted house sitters right now. If you see some house sits without pets or with house sits with the type of animals that you would like to care for, maybe there's goldfish or something. If you see those, then maybe you join trusted house sitters and give it a try, okay? If you don't see right now scrolling around, if you don't see house sits that don't have pets, then you probably, if you don't see any house hits right now that you would want to do, then you're probably not going to see them. All right. August is peak season. Even though it's end of August, we're at peak last minute season. If you're not seeing house sits right now that you would want to do, then you're not going to see house sits that you want to do, I think. Right. Summer, spring break, and then Thanksgiving through Martin Luther King Day, those are peak seasons for houses. If you can't find anything that time that you want to do, you're not going to find anything. Okay? I think that's the answer to the pet thing. There are houses that aren't pet sits, but they go by super quick. You've got to be prepared. You've got to already have reviews to get those house sits. It's not a thing that I would spend money on. It's To me, it's too up in the air to spend my money on it. But other people in this chat, in this very chat, have been able to join trusted house sitters and find house sits that aren't pet sits, and maybe we'll get to talk to them today. Uh, I am funny with money. Okay, I want to just spend my money on Fiji and not on a gamble. But we'll see. We'll talk to some more women. We have 4 women right now. No, 3 women lined up, so we're going to move a little bit faster, I think. We'll see. They know I'm a talker. You know I'm a talker. Hello, Precious. I don't think we've talked yet. Oh, are you on the screen? Oh, there
I
you
don't
are.
know.
Hi. Your face, are you able
Hi.
to tilt your camera down just a tiny bit? Tilt it
Oh,
just. Yeah, there you go.
is that
Hi.
better? Okay.
Yeah. How are you?
Good. How are you?
It's nice to meet. I'm great. It's nice to meet you. I don't think we've met yet, right?
No, I don't think so. I've been following you for a while, but no, we've never met.
So tell us everything. Tell us, where have you house at? Why have you house at? How have you house at?
So I learned about house sitting from you.
Thank you.
Um, is probably like 2 or 3 years ago. So a little different. I'm not an international traveler.
Okay.
I've mostly house sat locally.
Yeah.
Um, I am from Cleveland, Ohio.
Ah,
And I did a house sit in Charlotte, North Carolina when I was visiting some relatives.
good. I'm taking notes. Okay, good. So do you work a job that means that you have to be in Cleveland for work? Or are you like a remote worker or retired girl? Are you on
So
sabbatical?
I briefly worked a job in the office, so I haven't done any house sits in the last few months. But before that, I was remote, a remote bookkeeper, a hybrid bookkeeper.
Okay.
And then after that, well, right now I work remotely again.
Oh,
So we're going to start doing it again.
good. Okay, wonderful. So,
Uh,
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say I have a teenage daughter,
Okay.
so I took her to do it with me.
Oh,
Um, and so that's one of the reasons why we haven't like gone international because she's got a little anxiety about it. So I'm trying to ease her into it.
yes. Okay, so you took her with you
Um,
to the local house sits and to the Charlotte house sit?
correct. Yes.
Ah. And what teen? How old
Yep.
is your
She
teen?
loves it. Right now she's 15. I think the last time we did one she was 14 and 13.
And clients, when you applied to house sit with your teen daughter, they were like, okay.
Yes, I was very transparent. I have a teenager. I'm like she loves animals. She's a good girl,
Huh?
and we clean up after ourselves.
Yes.
We do the interview, and so far, no one minds.
That's, you hit it. You're right. You hit it on the head. When you're applying for a house sit, that's all they want to know, right? She loves animals. She's a good
Hmm.
girl, right? She's going to clean up after herself. Same with you. Same with
Yeah,
any other person that you want to house sit with. That's pretty much what's going to help most people be like, okay, girl, come on. I hope y'all enjoy it.
yeah.
They have the space for you. They're probably going to be okay. Did those families? Do you know if they had their own? Did they have kids? The families that were traveling so that you could house sit for them. Did they have kids?
One one family had kids.
Okay.
Another was a couple with no kids, and then one was a single woman with no kids.
Oh. Oh.
Goodness, I
Okay.
don't know if I've done any more house sits than that.
Okay. That's great.
Um,
That surprises me. I would assume, just assuming, right? I would assume that a family with kids would be like, yes, no problem, right? We got kids, the
mhm.
house is fine, right? But I would assume like a single people without, or people without kids would be a little more iffy about the thing. So I'm glad to hear that you've done house sits with your teen, your tween and teen, and house sitting clients have been like, yeah, come on. That's good. That's good news for all of you
Yeah,
out here in the chat with that question. We've okay. There's the
yeah.
answers. Okay, we've had 2 of our 3 women have house sat with teens and tweens, and it's not held them back. Don't let them kids hold you back. Right. So I'm kind of surprised. So your house sit in Cleveland, was it? Do you remember what time of year that
Hmm.
was?
One is in the summer, and one was around Christmas.
Okay, so during regular house sitter
Yeah.
seasons, I'm kind of surprised. that Cleveland is a place where you can book house sits, honestly, because house sitting is like spreading from the bigger city. The idea of house sitting is moving from the bigger cities to the other parts of the country. But I'm kind of surprised that people
Hmm.
know already in Cleveland that trusted house sitters exists. And I'm really glad to know that they know trusted house sitters exist. So that's good. Yeah, house sitter
Yeah.
season is like summertime and Christmas time, winter time, right? And spring break. Those are the times when you're most likely to get a whole bunch of house sits on on the platform, and you can just like take your pick. Once you get some reviews, you can just take your pick. So, what was a day like? You and your daughter are in a house sit in Charlotte. What was the day like for you guys? Because you're there to see your family. How was it? What was your day like?
Um, so it was pretty low key. I mean, so I went there to see my aunt and uncle. They work during the day,
Uh-huh.
and we were there for like 2 weeks. So it's not like were with them the whole time.
Uh-huh.
I did the house sit for a week. I stayed in their house for my
Okay.
uncle's house for a week.
Okay.
Um, I had to walk the dog. She had 3 dogs.
Okay.
I had to walk them 3 times a day.
Okay.
Um, and they weren't very good dogs, so I had to walk them all separately.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So we
That's
went on
a
a
lot of
lot of walks.
that's a lot of walking.
um, and when I fed them, she fed them all out of one bowl, so I had to make sure they all got to eat because they didn't like to share. Um, it was, yeah, I think because there were so many dogs and they weren't well trained, this was a little more challenging
Uh-huh.
than usual.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then my daughter was afraid of the dogs when we first got there, so that didn't help.
Okay. So you were the
Yeah,
one
but
walking them.
eventually,
He wasn't even able to help with walking them and stuff.
no, not really,
Okay.
no. And I had to lock the door because they wanted to come in the bed with her,
Yeah.
and she was not having it.
Yeah.
So I had to lock. We slept in 2 different bedrooms. I had to keep them out of her room so she wasn't scared, and I had to keep them out of my room so they didn't tear stuff up.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's the
So,
thing that I didn't know until I started house sitting. I didn't know how many people's dogs or pets sleep in the bed with them. I didn't know that because
mhm,
I like to go to sleep and stay asleep. But apparently there are a lot of people in this world who don't mind having pets in the bed with them, rolling all over them, getting up, moving around, disturbing their sleep all night long. I didn't know that. So that's the thing about house sitting. If their pet sleeps in the bed with them, their pet will want to sleep in the bed with you. So that is the thing to ask people when you're talking to them about house sitting. If that's a no for you, you can still house sit because plenty of people are like me and their pet sleeps in its bed, in its room, in its crate or its whatever dog bed. But you need to know that ahead of time. I didn't know that. I
mhm.
didn't know. Okay. Yeah. So, do you think your house? So, you said that you would like to house it internationally. Your daughter's nervous about it, so you're going to ease her into it. Do you have a dream place that you would love to find an international house sit in?
Oh, probably Portugal.
Okay. Good choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Portugal is wonderful, and it's a place where you can find house sits. Portugal is like the vacation home for a lot of Europeans. So, a lot of British people or people from wherever in Europe have vacation homes in Portugal. So, you can even look up and find a home that is available for weeks and weeks or months and months because they're only going to be there part of the year. Portugal is a wonderful place to keep on your radar. So, I would make sure you set some alerts and keep your eyes open for Portugal when y'all are available, like Christmas time, spring break, summertime. Keep your eyes open, and once you show her a nice house, it might be a little easier to convince her, right? Go to Portugal in the
Hmm.
summertime and be on
Yeah.
the beach. She's not gonna turn you down. She's not. She's not turning that down. Yeah, that's wonderful. Anything else you think we should know about house sitting before you go? Anything else you want to share with us about it?
Just good communication is essential. I've had issues with forgetting where stuff was.
Okay.
So if I would do it again, I would take a notebook and write down everything.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to ask too many questions in the beginning because it's better to ask it in the beginning than while they're on vacation.
That's right. I take notes with my phone when I get nowadays. So COVID changed things a little bit, but nowadays when I get to a house sit, there's like a 40, 50, 60% chance that they're still there. And so they walk me
Hmm.
through things. I pull out my phone and I say, here's what I'm doing. Show them the notes. I'm taking notes, right? I'm not just texting and stuff while you're talking. Sometimes they're seniors and they're not as attached to their phones. Well, no, sometimes they just don't get it. So I always explain, I'm just taking notes. And I take notes on everything. And they'll be like, you don't have to write that down. It's here. I'm like, girl, I'm writing it down. I'm going to forget. Okay. I'm going to forget. Take notes on everything. Is better to have too many notes than not enough notes when it comes to house sitting, because you're right. If she's on a cruise in somewhere, she's not looking at her phone, she's not answering your questions. So ask your questions beforehand. Don't wait until it's too late to reach her to get your questions answered. Okay. All right, Precious. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing
Yep.
house sitting with us, and for sharing your experiences
Thank
with
you.
your daughter. I hope you guys continue house sitting, and I hope you love it more and more each time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so I'm going to move in order. Danika's next. I said I was going to look at questions, and then I didn't look at the questions, but we'll do it. Danika's used to this, so we'll do it together. Hi, Dee. Okay, after I done called you by your government name, now on the internet, but on the internet you do.
Hey, darling, how are you? Can you hear
I
me?
can hear you great, and you look beautiful. Long time no see.
I'm on a house sit now, so yeah, let's chat.
Tell us everything. Where are you house sitting? How long are you there? Who are you house sitting for? Like how many animals or whatever.
Okay, you know I don't do animal sit, so y'all are welcome to ask all your plant questions because 97% of what I do are plant sits. And when I started, there weren't as many because it was the pandemic, just like you said. Now, where do I want to go? There are plant people there.
So
So,
this okay, I'm
um,
glad you're here because girl, even I'm not you must be snatching up all the you're snatching up.
no, I mean, there are you are right. When the pandemic hit, there were not many, but what I did do is use the filters and identify folks that were plant only sits,
Yeah.
set my notifications, and when they had dates available, they started popping up, and then they
Okay.
started popping up more and more and more. So I
Okay.
started, because I was timid, it was nice to only have a few,
Yeah.
and that because I would have kind of been a little bit overwhelmed with all of the choices that are now available. It's
Okay.
not as abundant as the plants, but there are a lot more than when I started in fall. Started looking in fall of 2021, 2022, spring of 2022. Right now, I'm just outside of DC.
Hmm.
I'll be here for a few weeks. I usually do long sits,
Yeah.
and so I probably would have more sits, more reviews, but I do longer sits, so I have fewer reviews,
Sure.
which fits really nice because I do still work. And because I'm kind of confined by my employer to pretty much the 48, anywhere that doesn't require a passport. Um, long as I can show up during our core business hours, I'm good. So
Okay.
this is really, I'm maximizing what I have available.
Yeah.
Even though my heart is, I'd love to use this to travel international. So, on our channel, we've been talking about how to use house sitting to get started, especially if we don't have a lot of money. And house sitting, especially as a long house sitter, is how we're gonna. I think it's gonna be how we move forward and give us a little bit of a honeymoon,
Yeah.
doing the things that we love. I've trained my husband. I want to say trained.
I have invited my husband to help me, and so he's been getting used to the plant sitting responsibilities that we share together. Just like if we were pet sitting and there were multiple pets or multiple responsibilities with the pet, we would share them. So it's been a lot of fun.
There's so much. Okay, so I'm just going to give y'all the link to Dee's YouTube channel. Her channel is their channel is H and D Abroad. Dee and her husband are in the process of moving abroad. They're house sit, all of that. Okay, so go ahead and subscribe to their channel, and then get more information from her on plant sitting. Okay, because y'all, we have totally different. We're approaching this from totally different perspectives. So your job, I want to reiterate what you said. Your job is fine with you being anywhere that you don't need a passport to go. So that
Correct.
includes Puerto Rico, that includes U.S. Virgin Islands.
I have I'm gonna try it. I think what you were saying. I think I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see. You know, I've talked to my HR representative, and she provided those parameters. I applied for a house sit in Puerto Rico. Let's see. I'll
Okay.
see what happened.
Okay.
Um, you know, a lot of folk out here not asking permission, and so I'm hopeful.
I, yeah, so I don't play about leaving the leaving the place that your job thinks you're working from and going someplace. I don't do that, and I wouldn't do that in secret. I wouldn't do it in secret. They if they care to find out where exactly you are, they will find out where exactly you are. So
Oh
if
yes.
you, it's not worth risking losing a job over. On the other hand, we have an exit plan for that job. We're not going to be there forever anyway. Okay, that job don't run our lives. But yeah, I, what I'm hearing is yes to Guam, yes to Hawaii and Alaska. Okay, let's get it. When you plant sit, uh, do you feel pressure? Do you? Plants are really finicky. Plants are temperamental, right?
Some are indoor plants more than outdoor
Yes,
plants.
yes. Uh,
So, I don't feel, let's see. So what typically happens, and I did an interview with some other plant people talking about this in the welcome packet. When I'm interviewing, I do ask the questions. I do ask to see the plants.
okay.
There are some that I feel like are a little more temperamental. And if you're a plant person, the plants that you may struggle with. And so I asked specifics. How much water do you put in this plant? What
Mm,
are some danger signs that you've seen, where, the yellowing or drying or whatever, or when, if it's overwater, if you have a lot of plants, the things to do to keep them well.
yeah,
A drainage hole. I mean, just basic things. If you are doing that video interview before accepting, you can see how they keep their plants. You can see the condition of their plants. I'm not going to be their gardener. I'm not there to solve their plant distress issues. My job is to maintain what they have already been doing.
yes.
So if you water 3 times a week, I need to know that. If you Typically it's like once a week inside, it might be a little bit more outside, sometimes even every day, depending on the time of year and what's happening. So like we had the residue of the storm kind of passing through this
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
So when I landed, they were like, we hadn't had rain, but because the storm came through and we've had rain for 24 hours, I probably will get a little bit of a break and not
Mhm.
have to water because
Uh-huh.
it had been dry, but the rain, thankfully, even in Colorado, when I was in Colorado, the same thing, right? I would water on the days it wasn't raining because the
Yeah.
elevation and all of those things impact the plant needs.
Yeah. So this means when you don't have to walk a dog and be home at dinner time and all of that, this frees you up to see some places. Tell us about some places you've seen as a house sitter.
Yeah. Oh, I am the well, it's I chose to do this because it was a way for me to say goodbye to family and friends. So I initially started choosing the locations based on that. So I have time to go see my cousins and my aunts and uncles that live across the country. Um, I okay, so this trip. Why don't we talk about this trip? This trip, I am meeting my Exodus Summit sisters. We're going to go kayaking on the Potomac next Sunday morning. I am at the end of the month, we are going roller skating because I want to do things, I want to get to know the DC metro area better. When I was in Colorado, I did walking tours and the horseback tour of Garden of the Gods.
Ooh.
I did the clog rail up to Pikes Peak in Colorado Springs. I met a friend. She has a YouTube channel. I've interviewed her, and she was home from Ecuador, so she and I did a tour of Denver together. Um, and then I'm using my house sitting access because I live so far south. When I'm farther north, then I can go to New York. I plan to go to the September Toronto meetup because you can take the train there. So I'm just kind of leveraging the opportunities to see local things or what's in proximity.
Yeah. House sitting. So I like, so you said that you were on a tour to say goodbye to your family and friends. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but let's say to catch up with family and friends. This is not your goodbye tour, right? I mean, I understand that y'all are moving abroad, but they might come visit sometime, okay? Right? They're gonna come. You're
Yeah,
gonna see them
I'm
again.
saying, look, we are on our way out. You're
We're
right.
we're relocating, but you're gonna see them again. So yes, house sitting is a wonderful way. We talked also to right Precious and her daughter. House sitting is a wonderful way to see people that you want to see, um, and be in their town, but not be all up in their house if you don't want to be, right? But be where they are and get I'm sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once. Be where they are and spend some quality time with people that you don't get to spend quality time with. House sitting is a wonderful way to do that. Go around and see the people that you want by house sitting, and then go home and sleep in a bed at night that is not in their space. Have your own space to sleep in, right? Spend as much time away from them as you want, while spending as much time with them as you want. I like that. I like it. Okay, so
Absolutely.
I'm super jealous about what's about to happen in the DC area. Okay, the kayaking, the roller skating. I'm really, really jealous about the roller skating because I can't remember the last time I had roller skates on. I'm super jealous about that. So, friends, get inside of the Exodus Summit Facebook community and look at the events section. Do you know if it's already set up? I guess I should do that.
I sent it to Frances yesterday. I know she had been following the thread where people were saying, uh, where I mentioned that I was going to be here house sitting,
Okay.
and finding out if people were interested. So I'm just waiting for her to post it, but I'm dropping the links and stuff because I, I bought roller skates for my 51st birthday.
Yeah.
After Alicia Release was talking about, play on your channel, I was like, every year for my birthday, I'm going to buy something that, brought me joy when I was younger. So whether it's a hula hoop or jacks or skates, I was like, as long as I don't harm myself, I'm
Right?
going to get out there and do it. And it's great exercise. And when I started looking for a place to host that meetup, I realized there are so many skate groups
Yeah.
in the DMV, and so I was like, this it's on my vision board when I took my break in the spring of 2021. You talked me into the sabbatical, Stephanie. On there, I specifically said, make friends
Yes.
because I know as someone that is, I'm straddling between an introvert and socially awkward. So, those of us who are socially awkward recognize we have challenges, but you have coached us saying, just put yourself in the proximity of
Yes.
extroverts and they will bring you in.
They
And
do.
so I felt, things that I like to do, I just put myself in situations where they're not in my space. I'm in their space. And when I feel like I've had my talk fill or my engagement fill, I can just back into the shadows and go about my business. So I found crafting circles. I found, hiking or walking groups. Ulonda was telling me about how she just was like, I want to go on a walk. And when she was in Mexico City, Black women showed up and they were able to walk together. I'm inspired by seeing those things, and house sitting is getting me outside,
Yeah.
to be able to, to interact with people and make those connections and grow as a person.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. House sitting has given me way more than the cost of the membership, for sure.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. So same, right? It's done the same thing for me. And that's why I'm glad that we get to keep sharing it with other Black women, keep sharing it with other people. Yeah, yeah, right. So Tay, just let an extrovert do what they do, right? You just be in the space and let them do their part. They love it. They love doing their part. Let them do their part, right? The socially awkward introverts. You don't have to do a whole. It's not a whole lot. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. I promise you. I've seen it with my own eyes. The people who've never met a stranger, uh, they're everywhere. They're out there in the world, just living their lives, waiting for you, waiting to snatch you up and pull you into their group. But you don't just do that, though. You do create the spaces for these things to happen. So thank you very
Yeah.
much for hosting so many meetups. Rashida said yesterday that you've probably been to the most, but you probably also hosted the most meetups or like initiated the most meetups. So thank you very much for doing that. And friends, if you're in the Exodus Summit Facebook group already, I don't see it up yet. I don't see the kayaking or the roller skating meetups up yet. But Francis, copy. Francis will go ahead and get those up in the community so that you can all RSVP and organize. And um, by organize, I just mean decide on where and when. Right? That's as organized as it
Look,
gets.
look, look. I'm putting the link to how you can make your reservation, and
Okay.
we will meet together, because that's, what did you say? That's too much work. We are a community of ease.
Right.
I
Here,
just say
here's where I'm
I
going
want
to
to say
sit.
something. People ask about, how do I schedule a meetup? The way that I have found is that I say I will be at X place.
Hmm.
If you would like to join me, here's the date and time I'll be there. And that takes the lift off of me, the financial responsibility off of me. And I don't feel some kind of way like I've seen some others where
Yeah.
people don't show up, and so there's disappointment or anxiety around planning a meetup. So I just say, hey, 9 o'clock Sunday morning, August 18, I'm gonna be at the Key Bridge
Mhm.
Boathouse.
Yeah.
Here's the link to reserve your kayak. If you'd like to go see the monuments, we'll get together and we'll kayak the Potomac and see the Kennedy Center, and you know um, the Jefferson Memorial, and the and sites around DC. So that's the easiest way for me, as someone that, yeah, it takes the work out of it and
That's
brings the
right.
joy, for sure.
That's right. When you're in a community of 18,000 Black women who are into things that you're into, you can do a little bit less. You can do actually a whole lot less to get to know them, right? You can do a whole lot less. Here's where I'm going to be. Here's the time. Here's the date. Here's how you register, right? That's it. If you're doing an Airbnb experience, if you're doing a thing, the kayak thing is probably by a local company, right? You don't have to do a
Right.
whole lot of like, here's I gotta reserve this many kayaks for every how many I need a head count, how many people are coming. We're not doing that. Okay. We're doing as little as possible. And that is a way that you can have somebody be there with you and meet up with you and expand your circle, right? Expand your circle. Some of us, our circles are so small or non existent. Um,
Mhm.
and it's really worth the time and effort to expand it. So thank you very much for sharing that. And for
Absolutely.
doing that. Anything else about house sitting that you want to share before you go? Anything else that we should know about plant sitting? Which, listen, I promise y'all, I don't have any plant alerts set up, but I'm like, how, where are these plant sits that Dee keeps talking about? Where are
Well,
these?
this month's newsletter, we have a newsletter on H&D Abroad, was about plant sitting. I got so many requests. I'm going to turn it into a PDF
Oh,
and make that one of our lead magnets. So if you're interested, go ahead and sign up for our newsletter, because I think there are more people, couples that would like to plant sit and just kind of want to have some feedback about that, or have questions about, hey, if I'm considering a plant sit, what are some, what are the top 5 questions I should ask, or things that I should be aware of,
good.
in that conversation, so that they can be a little bit more prepared. So we're transforming the newsletter into a handout that people can download and use. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
Wonderful. I'm going to link again to your channel. Before, one more question. I know I said what your one more question though. Queendom says, "What is the most challenging or difficult thing you've ever had to do for a plant on a plant sit? Like how challenging or how hard does this get?"
Um, okay, so probably it doesn't sound like a challenge, but it was a challenge. So the plant set that I'm at now, they've moved all of the plants outside. I was hoping to show you all their big, beautiful plants. But they have trees that they bring inside in the wintertime. So this is my third house sit this year with them.
Okay.
And so the plant will I mean, when you want to know when it's too much water, and sometimes the larger plants will hold the water and then start letting the water go. And they have hardwood floors, and that first day I overwatered and water was everywhere, but they had told me where their towels were, and I was like, we got to come up with a different system. So you just you learn the plants, you learn to watch them. I mean, it's like a child.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing? Am I overwatering you? Am I underwatering you? If they've got good drainage, that's probably the thing that is probably the most frustrating,
Yeah.
is picking up that water if you overwater. But trust me, fool me once, but you're
Yeah.
not gonna fool me twice. I know. I see you. I'm gonna watch better, and you can learn that over time. But that's probably been the most frustrating. I,
Yeah.
I struggle with orchids.
Me
Orchids are
too.
so
Oh my
fickle.
God.
They're so I just
Right.
so I tell my plant people, I was like, do you water with ice cubes? I can do ice cubes. If you water on a schedule, then I can keep up your schedule. But I struggle with that, and so I know I need specific instructions for that, or for succulents. But everybody else if as long as they've got a good drain, they got a drain pan underneath. I don't mind cleaning up some water. I just want you to come back to happy,
Yeah.
green,
Plants. Yes.
non-starving plants. I
Yeah.
don't, you can get used to those plant responsibilities as long as you can follow directions. Just like when I did my first pet sit,
Hmm.
I asked my pet people, what do I need to be prepared for with this pet? And then things did go a little awry, but I was prepared because I knew questions to ask beforehand, and then I just paid attention to what the pet wanted or what the pet needed, and she
Yeah.
was she was a doll. And I pet sat for an Exodus Summit sister. So I'm
Oh.
just telling you, this community, with Diamond's group, she raised her hand and said, "Hey, I'm going to Mexico to do my residency, but I need someone to watch my pet." And I was like, I want to do a pet sit. Can I ask you? That made it so much easier,
Yeah.
because I understood her mindset and she understood mine, and we worked together. And there was a lot of grace in that space because of that relationship. So I
Good.
want to say thank you to the sisters who sit
Yes.
group with Diamond Crystal that you've interviewed, that helped me feel confident. Even though I've had a pet, somebody else's pet, that's a whole game changer. I want to know, do your pet sleep in the bed with you?
That's right. You need to know that. You need to know that. All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
So, thank you very much for sharing house sitting and helping more Black women get started and more families. Thank you so much for that.
absolutely. Have a good day, everybody.
You too. Talk to you again. Okay, I'm sorry for everybody who I didn't ask before about your YouTube channels. I'm sorry, y'all. I haven't been linking to things, but I did link to Dee's YouTube channel. All right, I see you in the waiting room, Deborah, and then it'll be Ree and then Deborah. Wait, there's two Deborahs. Deborah Austin first. Okay, I'm gonna put you on the screen, Deborah, and then it'll be Ree. Sounds like Ree. She said, spelled it out for me, and then Deborah Valrie. Okay, we've got three women in the waiting room, one at a time. All right. It's Deborah Austin, everyone. Hi, Deborah Austin.
Hi, how's
How
everybody?
wonderful. How are you?
I am awesome. I live in Manta, Ecuador.
Oh, Deborah Austin. Oh.
Yes, yes.
How are things in Manta, Ecuador.
Um, I love it here. I've only been here since February the 27th, the
Okay.
day after our last sit.
Oh,
But I love it here. There's an awesome community here. I'm friends with Deborah Valrie, and we're good. Life is good. There are a lot of people who help. If you want to move here, there are plenty of people who will be glad to help you. You may have heard of Jewel Wynn. She helps a lot of people to move here as well. But we're here to talk about house sitting.
we are, but I
With
do want to ask you a question or two about Manta. So
Okay, go ahead.
where did you live before? Where did you move from?
Well, for the majority of my time, I lived in Atlanta.
Okay.
But I retired in 2021, and my husband and I moved to Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, okay.
And we were there until September of 2023
Okay.
when we left for our first house sit.
Okay. Oh, so you house sat from September of 2023 until almost what, January?
Until February to through February of 2024.
Okay, girl, where?
Well, so we signed up, and yes, you may, of course, take the credit because I found you. Uh, did I find you? I think I found you maybe in August or September 2023 because I remember, no, 2022,
Uh-huh.
because I remember I wanted to sign up for the Exodus Summit, but it was my birthday weekend,
Mm.
and I already had plans
Uh-huh.
October the 7th for 2022. But I did attend 2023, and I was on my first house sit by that time.
Uh-huh.
So the way that ours went, I found out about house sitting from you,
Okay.
and then I ended up talking to Diamond because
Yes.
I was coming to Manta, and she had been here. She said Manta was one of her happy places,
Yes.
and so we ended up chatting, and shortly after that, my husband and I decided that we were going to do that.
Okay.
So we created our profile and put it out there,
Uh-huh.
because we did it as a couple. We only did one profile,
Yeah.
and we put the two of us on the one profile.
Yes.
And we let people know that, we were a retired couple, that we like to travel. We were looking to travel and play golf. We play golf, and, we like beach life. So that was our goal. But initially, we got into house sitting to save money
Yeah.
because I don't know what anybody has told anybody about this retirement life. When you go from that full-time salary
Yeah.
to these retirement monies, it depends on what has happened in those accounts. And, it depends on a lot of things as to whether or not you're going to be able to sustain that same lifestyle. And
Right.
that's what a lot of us are looking for. You may not want to sustain it at that high level, but you want to be able to live and eat. And in the United States, When I tell you, they act like everybody got everything and everybody can pay 3 times, 3 and 4 times for living and eating and all of those kinds of things. It just got to be too much.
Yeah.
And so once we found out, it's like once you find something out, how could you not? It's like we were just, this is going to be great. When I told my husband about it, he was like, that sounds wonderful. That sounds awesome. I'll do the dogs, you do the house.
Okay.
So that was basically how we went. That was our approach. So we decided that we were going to leave Jacksonville and move to Manta.
Uh-huh.
But we didn't know when
Okay.
we left, because we didn't know our financial situation. It wasn't, cut dried like that regular paycheck. Yeah, we had regular money coming in, but we also, in the move, you have expenses that come up. You got to get documents apostilled, and you got to, buy plane tickets. And for us, everything was times two. So um, we decided that house sitting was going to be the best way for us to save any money to make that happen. Because we had started the savings, particularly for the move, but it was growing so slowly that we were like, all right, we got to change our plan. So that was what we did. So we created our profile, and our very first sit was a request. Somebody, they requested us.
Okay, good.
They were in Tampa, Florida. So at that time, we were still in Jacksonville. They were in Tampa, Florida. It was for 7 dogs for 6 weeks, and there were 5 labs and 2 little, like little Pomeranian, the little yappy, fluffy dogs. So those belong to the wife. Now, we didn't know it until we got there, but the guy was a breeder. He bred Labradors and sold them.
Okay.
So when we got there, now we talked to him on the phone and all of that ahead of time. But when we got there, the house did smell of dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's 7 dogs.
Yeah.
But one of the dogs had just had puppies, and they were being sold the very next day. So we got there on a Friday evening, and they were like, I know the houses, don't worry, it'll all be taken care of. So they had these, they had a setup to keep the puppies separate, and everything, they showed us our room. The house, it was one level, so the master and a full bathroom and everything was on one side of the house. Then you had the common areas, and on the other side of the house, there were the bedrooms and then a den and stuff like that. Outside in the back had a pool, and it had the fence around the pool. Then there was an area around there that the dogs would go out, and they could access things through the doggy doors.
Okay.
So the dogs were never really in the house unless we let them in the house.
Okay.
And they were, so my husband went through with finding out about the dog information when we got there. So they had a routine.
Yeah.
And they got up at like 6 a.m. They go out, he did the routine with the dogs. But the thing about it is they were basically like 2 sets of dogs. So they were treated in 4 and 3. So there were 2 dogs, the little fluffy dogs, and then there were 2 bigger dogs. One was Lucia. She was the new mama. Okay. And then P2 he wasn't the daddy, but he was the boy. He was the only boy lab. But we think he was retired because he weighed like 175 pounds. He was a huge dog, but very sweet. He wasn't aggressive or any of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But so the 4 of them were one group. And then the 3, my husband called them the 3 Stooges, because they were like 18 months old. They were younger,
Oh,
all
yeah.
females.
Mhm.
None of them had had puppies yet.
Mhm.
So they were,
Wow.
frolicky. They were kind of crazy.
Wild
So
women. Uh-huh.
the three out, and the four would come. They had shifts to eat. They had shifts. When Now I will say the man had everything running well.
Okay.
The dogs didn't really come out of the house. They had their the what do you call them? I don't want to call it a cage, but the thing you keep the
Like a
dogs in.
kennel. They had like a big kennel.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So they had the kennels. All of that stuff was in the master bedroom of the house, but the master bedroom was not being used for sleeping, even though it had like a king size bed. It was huge. Everything was fine, but they were like, you can sleep in there if you want to. But I was like, no, thank you. I'm not sleeping in there with all them dogs. But on the other side of the house, we had our own bedroom.
Okay.
Everything, all of that was fine. But so after we got there on Friday, um, spent the night. That morning, we heard them up. He took the dogs, he took the puppies to the vet to get all their shots and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
And if I'm not mistaken, all the dogs were gone by like noon or 1 o'clock.
Okay.
The puppies, I
Yeah.
should say.
Yeah. And then
And
the people
so,
the people were leaving that
go
same
ahead.
day to go on their trip.
They actually did 2 trips. So
Okay.
they were leaving the next day. So after all the puppies were gone, like they took us out to dinner that evening, and we actually went out to dinner the night before, so we went out with them a couple of times.
Mhm.
And they left early the next morning before we got up, and they were flying to New York. He was taking her to a football game, and they were from there going to go on a tour of Europe.
Mhm.
But he said something about the ticket price was better for them to come back to Tampa and leave from there. So they were gone for a few days, came back like for a few hours, basically,
Oh,
switched
okay.
suitcases, and then left.
Okay.
And so then they were gone until November the 7th.
Okay.
But it was our first sit.
Okay.
It was great.
Okay.
The only mishap we had,
Uh-huh.
we did have, we had, they got out. The four got out, not all seven.
Uh-huh.
The four got out. They got out the front door and took off running. So, but the good thing was P2 was too, he was, none of them were used to being out like that because
Mhm.
they used, they go out the back and stuff. So they got tired. And so
Yeah.
we followed them, calling them and everything. And then it was like, man, ain't nobody running up these dogs. So we could still see them, but they eventually, how dogs want to meander around, go here and there and all that kind of stuff. So it was our first set, and I was like, oh Lord, we done lost the first dogs. But they they
They're
were back safely. Everything went well. That was our first set. It was perfect. So we we that, like I said, that was 6 weeks through November the 7th.
uh-huh.
We went back to Jacksonville. Then we went to we were moving out of the rental house that we
Right.
were in.
Right.
So a part of the time we were in Tampa, we were driving back and forth. I drove a couple of times. We did just getting rid of stuff because we tried to sell everything because the plan was definitely to leave.
Mhm.
We just had so much stuff. Now we
Yeah.
had downsized from our house in Atlanta, but still we had set up a new house because at
Yeah.
the time when we set up, we weren't planning. I didn't know anything about all of that, so
Yeah. So
that
did
all
you
happened during
well
that time. But
let me ask you, Deborah,
go ahead.
had you already booked your second sit? When did you book the second?
No,
Was it before you had done the first one or was it after the first one?
no, we did the first one, and basically what I would do was try to keep up with the sits as I went along. So I booked us all the way through. I'm getting my little calendar out so I can show you how I did it. So
Okay.
that's where we started at the bottom in Tampa.
Okay.
So then we went on. So that was the full month. October was in Tampa.
Uh-huh.
Then this is where things started getting a little tricky.
Yeah.
So you can see some things are, I have to do different. I'm a retired teacher. Let me just say
Okay.
that.
Okay. I see that. I see it.
So after we left Tampa, I did have something set up for us to go step by step, but things got canceled or we changed our minds. So I had one in Georgia right after Tampa, but that one, I think we canceled that one. I don't remember why, but the Lake Oconee one. But then we were in Roswell. We had okay, so the Lake Oconee one, I had one that canceled. I think that was it. They had a sick dog, and they had more than one dog, and one of their dogs was sick, and they thought that, according to the vet, that the dog would be okay. But then they decided they didn't want to. They were going to board the dog, and then they didn't want to, so they decided to not. They changed their trip,
Okay.
and so they didn't go. And then we were in. So we went from Florida to Georgia,
Uh-huh.
and so because we used ours, and I heard you tell Dee not to say that it was saying goodbye, but we used that same time to go around to see friends.
Okay.
The majority of our friends though were in Georgia.
Okay.
So my family, my parents, my father is still living in Columbus, Georgia, and my mother-in-law is in Atlanta. So we went to see them. Our kids are in Atlanta, so friends. So we did sits around Atlanta through the end of February.
Good.
So we had 7 sits,
Okay.
5 stars for every sit.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Friends with a few of the people that we sat with.
Yeah.
One of them, actually, there was a couple. There was 2 guys that were the reason we were sitting for them. They were taking some stuff to Panama because they were moving to Panama.
Oh, so you have built-in friends.
And so we sat for their dog. Yep, we sat for Shola. And honestly, and then when I got to Manta, found out that there was a lady here scheduled to sit for them. I think she was going in April. I think she went in April, March or April. She was going to sit for them, same dog. And same thing, they were still processing out of Panama. I mean, into Panama. But we've had, let me see, we did 15 days in Roswell, Georgia with Savannah. And those people went to Tanzania. They went to visit the wife's sister who had left. Now, that was a couple, a black man and a Caucasian lady, and her sister had moved to Tanzania with her husband.
Okay.
And so we sat for their dog. Then we did Shola in Midtown. That was 6 days. We did Doraville with some people it was 2 ladies that were going to visit family in the north for Christmas. So we were there from the 20th through the 27th.
Yeah.
Then we went to Roswell. There was a lady who is retired, but she liked to go to Florida. So we sat with her dog from December the 30th until February the 7th.
Oh, okay.
39 days. Then we had a week in between there. And our time where we didn't have a sit, like we might have a few days here and there, or maybe a week or something like that. We stayed with our daughter and helped her with the grandkids. So that worked out. We get a chance to see them. Good. So after Scout in February, we did 2 more. A 6-day sit with a dog in Decatur, and then 7-day sit with a dog in Marietta. Okay. Our last sit was ended on the 25th, and we flew out on the 26th.
Wow.
To Manta. And it is our plan to use house sitting to travel. But we've applied for our visa, so we have our temporary visas for here. So you got to stay put for a while. Yeah. but we can travel Ecuador. We
Yeah.
just can't leave Ecuador. So that is our plan to, you know, that helped us to move. So for anybody, if money is your issue and you need to save money and not pay to live anywhere, we sold our cars. We had 3 cars. We
Yeah.
sold our car. Y'all know how we do.
Yeah.
So we sold our cars. So if you think about just the money that you spend that relates to a car,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
well, our cars were paid for, but still, tires, maintenance, gas,
Tolls.
just oh,
Paying tolls.
insurance, yes, and a
Yeah.
whole girl. What?
Hmm.
My internet in Manta is $30.80 a month.
So I'm coming to Manta.
Yes, I'm signed up.
Okay. So we have an Exodus
I,
Summit meetup,
we're
friends.
excited for you to come.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm
We
excited.
are.
Yeah. If anybody
Yeah,
doesn't
I
know
told
that,
you I hang out with Deborah. We walk in the mornings,
see,
and see, and that's the thing. When you move to these places that house sitting gives you the opportunity, like you don't have to move here. There are actually a couple of ladies that are here now that are in the Exodus Summit, and but they're just coming through. They don't, you know, they've been here. One was here for a week, and then now she's decided to stay a little longer. And that both of them have extended their time that they're going to be here, but they don't at this point. They don't plan to live here. They going
yeah,
on somewhere else,
yeah,
and they were somewhere else before they got here.
that's right.
So it doesn't have to be the stop. It
No,
was for us, but
yes,
it's also going to be our base. So once we get the permanent visas taken care of, child, ain't no telling where y'all gonna see us out
that's
in these
right.
in the
It's so
streets.
nice to be free. It's so nice to be free. It's so nice to
It,
have a home where you can the amount of money that you have to spend to live there still frees up money for you to do other things. That's a wonderful
absolutely,
thing, right? To be able
absolutely,
to, yes, you have a home in Ecuador, but that means that y'all are freed up to be wherever you want. Wherever golf and beaches are, y'all can go there.
absolutely. That's our thing.
Yes. Yeah. Your husband still likes it too? He still likes Ecuador?
Oh, girl, let me tell you something. My husband is okay. So our view is we have ocean view.
Okay.
We're basically ocean front. It's just that where we live, it's off from the shore, so it's like a high cliff up. We live in a community that's got 4 high rises,
Okay.
and so it's secure. But we can see the horizon from our bedroom, from our bed. We can see the horizon. And so he gets up and there's a sliding glass door and he just goes out and he just looks and he'll be like this. He's like, "Isn't this beautiful?" Yes, it is. It is amazing. He's like, we live here. This is our everyday.
Every day.
And he has been on board since day one. So I never had to convince him. There are a lot of women I know who don't have that luxury,
Yeah.
but he is, we've always done things, so it wasn't difficult, but you just have to work it out,
Yeah.
and it's working for us for sure. And we would not, I can promise you, we would not be here without house sitting. We would not.
Oh, I'm so glad. Listen, I'm so glad that you made this work for you, right? That you put it to work for you so that y'all can live out your dreams. That's
We
wonderful.
did.
That's
We
wonderful.
did.
I'll see you Labor Day weekend. If not,
Yes.
I'll see you then. If you're inside the Exodus Summit community, go to the events section. There is a meetup in Manta, Ecuador. If you are going, say you're going, okay? If it's a maybe, say maybe, all right? Don't say you're going until you've booked your flight, please. We would appreciate that, unless you already live around, okay? We would appreciate
Right.
that so we can have a real clear idea of what kind of restaurant we're talking about, okay? Thank you very much for that. Okay, we'll see everyone in Manta. If you need to Google Manta, Ecuador to see if you want to come, go ahead and Google it. Look at some Airbnbs, look
Yep.
at some hotels, see if you want to come and visit. But we're about to talk to another woman in a couple minutes who also lives in Manta. They seem to
Mm-hmm.
love it there. Okay, they seem to love it
We
there.
do. We
love it.
definitely do.
Good. I'm so glad. It's so nice to talk to you, Deborah. And like I said, I'll see you again very soon. It won't be long.
Yes. Now you mentioned about YouTube channels. I'm getting started.
Okay.
I say I'm getting started. I had a YouTube channel. I've had it for some years, but I haven't done anything on it. But it's my name, Deborah Austin Coaching. So if anybody wants to go check it out, and I think I'm going to add house sitting to it because I haven't out. It's about I help Black women in midlife marriages discover their truth and thrive at this stage of life.
Yeah.
And but I'm going to add house sitting to that so that you know, because
Yeah.
people, it's a thing. It's a thing. It's definitely a thing, and it can definitely be helpful if you are someone in our age range. Well, my age range. I'll be 64 in October,
Uh-huh.
and we
Oh
will.
gosh.
We like to do things. We don't want to just sit around and you may not know who you are now based on who you've always thought that you were or who you
That's right.
always tried to be based on what other people said.
That's right.
So, if anybody wants to come around and check me out, feel free. I'd love to see you.
Thank you. I'll link to that in the description, but it's already here in the chat. I'll link to it later in the description. Thank you for that. I didn't know.
Okay.
Okay, good. Yes. Deborah Austin, on your YouTube channel banner, it says Transformational Life Coach and Marriage Strategist. I empower Black women to rediscover their worth and thrive in midlife marriage. Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. We'll talk
Yes.
again. We'll talk again.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I
You're
appreciate
my friend, by the way. I know you didn't know it, but you
I,
are.
I do know. Thank you. I do know. That's why I'm excited to get to finally see you in the real world. It won't be long. It won't be long. We're counting.
Hey.
Bye. Have
All
a
right.
wonderful,
Thank
wonderful
you.
day.
Okay, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Okay, we're on a roll. So, we've seen house sitting with a child, we've seen house sitting with a pet, we've seen house sitting with a spouse. Okay, y'all shouldn't have to ask me that question anymore. We've seen house sitting in the US, we've seen house sitting to move abroad, we've seen house sitting abroad, we've seen pet sitting, we've seen plant sitting. Okay, I think we're covering the bases today. This is a really good group. Okay, Reed, you ready? I'm about to put you on the screen. Okay. Hi, Reed.
Yay! Oh, I'm so excited to meet you.
So excited to meet you. Introduce yourself. Hi.
Saturday morning dream. I had turned you on YouTube and I was like, I want to talk to her this morning. Oh, I can talk to her for real. Okay. Um, my name is
Easy.
Cherie. I go by Ree for short, just because it just seems easier for everybody, and then I can kind of separate myself from like my new profession as a house sitter, because I do want to kind of develop it into a career. I learned about house sitting maybe like 10 to 15 years ago. I've always been into travel.
Okay.
I studied abroad in college. I studied abroad for grad school.
Okay.
I'm not the kind of girl that always gets their nails done. I don't own a purse. I spend all my money on travel.
Okay.
Even if it's a little staycation, but I always find a way. And then last year, I've been working remote since 2019.
Oh,
Last year, I found your videos and I signed up. I got the template. I had already been a pet owner for about 10 years at that point.
okay.
I had the dog. She passed away last April, which was really tough for me. But before that, I was on a site and did some dog boarding and dog walking, which
Okay.
was really easy, just as a way to make some side money. So I had already been used to having multiple pets in the house, but when my dog got sick, she couldn't be around too many stressors. So I stopped boarding dogs. But then when I found your videos, I started thinking long term about, at some point she will pass away. And just to kind of get out the house, I may want to think about house sitting.
Okay.
Plus, I didn't realize after she passed, I was going to miss the company of animals and how, and just appreciate how therapeutic
That's right.
it can be, especially if you're an animal person, which I was not before I was gifted a dog on my 30th birthday by my mom. So, because I'm now enjoying the company of animals, I want to get back into traveling. Plus, I just need to process this grief. I signed up and on the other website, the main house sitting website, and then it was great. I started with the local sit, which was cool. Don't know. I put like my all into it.
Mhm.
just to get that 5-star review. And then I was on a roll. And I was so proud of myself this year because this year I did not want to start off the year with like grinding and hustling. I was like, no, we're getting into this ease. We're going to take it seriously and we're going to practice it and we're going to unlearn some toxic hustle culture traits. And I planned for January and February, I was like, I'm going to do a reflection road trip. And I have not traveled a lot domestically enough, in my opinion. So I was like, I'm going to go through the South. I barely know anybody there, but I'm going to go to different places I've always been curious about. And I planned different house sits along the way with intentional gaps because I was like, I may change my mind or I may want to switch things. So I planned like certain milestone house sits along the way, and it was great. So I went from kind of like the Northeast area. I drove all the way down to my first sit was in Winston Salem, North Carolina, then to um, Nashville, but along the way I stopped in Asheville as a pit stop because it was too long of a drive. And I fell in love with Asheville. So I'm actually leaving to go on a house sit there for 2 weeks today so I can explore a little bit more. Yeah. Yeah. Then I went from Nashville to, I ended up having to go to a funeral along the way. And I found a last minute house sit for 5 days watching a cat. That was my first time house sitting a cat, which so much easier.
Right,
But
right.
I was like, oh, I have freedom. Wait a minute. Um, yeah. So then I went to Atlanta. I went to Montgomery, Alabama. Actually, I before I left Nashville, I should say, I did a short house sit in Franklin, Tennessee, which is like kind of like a right wing, super rich
Oh,
suburb of Nashville.
okay.
I think Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel lived there. I'm not sure, but that was the rumor. So that was my first time staying at a very fancy house, and I was like, oh, okay, but like
Type.
just someone just giving you their code and trusting you with their property, it's like the biggest honor to me. And I'm like, yes, I'm entrusted in this space because I deserve to be in this space. And okay, so then I left fast track. Then I left Atlanta. I went to Montgomery. Then from Montgomery, I did not have a good experience in Montgomery. But then when I drove to New Orleans, beautiful drive, sunset drive when I got to the New Orleans area. And I was there for 3 weeks around Mardi Gras. And that was great. By the time I got there, I was tired of driving. So my mom actually flew into New Orleans and then we booked it back to the Northeast area. But yeah, I've been house sitting since then here and there. I am fortunate enough where I do have a close friend of mine who is a flight attendant. So I do have a buddy pass. And
Ooh,
so I'm able to like book. I did a house sit recently in Tucson. I went to Los Angeles. Um, and now I'm looking internationally, but it's kind of yeah, because my job won't let me work outside the U.S. It can
okay,
be remote, but just I have to stay within the U.S.
okay.
But they allow you to work from anywhere for 2 weeks. So I'm like, okay, now I'm looking for like where is that 2 week trip that to a place I've never been before. So yeah,
And
so
and how are we doing with PTO time? How's our PTO looking? We're not
It's
bad.
fine. I haven't had to take a lot. I mean, I work remotely anyway, and I kind of have the kind of job where as long as I have internet access, I can work from wherever. It just gets tricky with the time zones. So,
Yeah, I'm saying
you know,
use it. Use your PTO. Go where you want to
oh
go.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
oh yes, yeah,
When you see
facts, yeah,
when you see an international house sit, take it. Right.
yeah.
Just
I
because you can't
I
work from
agree.
there doesn't mean you don't go there. We still go.
Yes, I
Okay.
need. Yeah, it's part of the unlearning. Like, I don't
Yeah.
need permission. I actually can go where I want. So,
That's we still go. I'm not okay. I'm not working these times. If I can't work from here, I'm going here. I'm just not working from here. Thanks for that. Right? That's what PTO is for. Don't stack it. Okay, good. Oh,
mhm.
so much. All right. So, first of all, I'm very sorry to hear about your dog dying. One day I would like to talk about that type of grief because we don't talk about it. It's very sad. And my dog happened to die almost 6 months, I think 6 months to the day before I started on my sabbatical. And
Mm,
on one hand, it was very sad. On the other hand, I felt like she was like, "Girl, go." You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. She anyway. I'm sorry to hear about that. I'm glad that you used house sitting as in part a way to heal. You called it the reflection road trip. I love that for you. I love that for us. If you hear me say that in the future, I'm gonna give you credit for it, but you may hear me using that in the future. Um,
Yes.
it's so wonderful to be able to take time and be with yourself and be with yourself in new places, away from the pressures of home. And so I'm so glad that you created that for yourself. This sounds absolutely wonderful and delightful. And then I'm also so glad that you got to experience a nice little luxury house. Okay, that's our type. That's our
I'm getting pickier and pickier on this site. I'm telling you. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to tell you, I took a chance on a new house sit last week,
okay.
and the couple had just finished a renovation, and they put in all these modern, efficient touches, and there were just little comforts everywhere. I mean, the bathroom floor got warm when the shower turned on. The shower hit you at multiple angles and had a giant, rain shower above it, which was a little overwhelming. I was like, am I drowning right now?
Right.
It was like, okay,
Enough.
I'm
Enough.
definitely clean. Yeah. Every toilet had a warm seat with like a decked out bidet. Then they had like this theater room, and they had that couch where every time there's like bass in the music or sound effects of whatever you're watching on TV, the couch vibrates in sync. So I had a magical horror movie night, just like chilling. And that was my first time with a deaf dog, which I was very curious about. But it was so peaceful. I mean, not having an anxious dog reacting to every little sound you make
Uh-huh.
was really nice. And she was just like the goodest girl. So yeah, that was like an excellent. So I came to explore that city, but I barely wanted to leave the house,
Right.
because I was so comfortable. So I was like, all right, this is cool. Yeah. I mean, I have had, I try to be really selective
Yeah.
with the house sits. I look at a lot of things, and I really pay attention to that interview because, you know, for me, it doesn't feel like work. But if you start treating me like I'm an unpaid employee and not like an extended member of the family,
Uh-huh.
I get a little bit like, this is not for me, you know? But when I feel comfortable and when I'm like, we're on the same page, like, I got you, you know? But yeah, so far it's been great. I only had a couple bad experiences where I'm like, I wouldn't sit here again, but nothing like traumatic.
Do you want to
So
share what those were?
sure. Like the first one was just, the host was very sweet. I stayed the night before. They bought me dinner. Very, very kind. But I think if you ask them, their house was clean, but it wasn't clean according to my
Oh,
standards.
okay.
And everything they had for me, from the towels to the sheets, they were like pulling it out of packaging from wherever they had just bought it. It wasn't washed ahead of time. So that's the kind of thing where I'm like,
Okay.
and then, I think like, yeah, again, I think they thought their house was clean, but we just have two different definitions. And so I do like to make sure it's tidy. Just because, when you come home from traveling, you want to come home to a nice house and not have to think about it. So like, I make sure to take care of that. So I always kind of leave it slightly better than they left it for me. But I was like, eh. And then the other one, I there was too much. The dogs could not be. I'd never do more than two dogs, because if it starts to feel like for real labor, it's just too much.
Yeah.
Like, and I usually sit alone. Um, the dogs like needed to be brought out so many times a day. You could not lure them back in. They came in when they felt like it. So it didn't feel like I could really leave the house. And
Oh,
then the owner was asking for 8 to 10 pictures 2 or 3 times a day. And she'd be like, what are my dogs up to now? What am I? And I'm like, dogs are boring.
right.
Like they're doing the same thing they were doing 4 hours ago. They sitting here watching TV or they're sleeping. Oh, I want to know. I want to know. And you could tell it was more of a control issue and maybe like a lack of trust. And I didn't take it personally. I was like, they could be like this with anybody. But I was like, you got to put the trust
Yes,
in your house sitter. Like, I'm giving you updates. I always ask what's your communication style, because I've
yeah,
had people, they're like, oh, when I'm on vacation, I'm out of sight, out of mind. It's okay if you don't give me frequent updates, or, if I hear from you every couple of days, that's good enough. Where I'm like, okay, like that's surprising to hear from a pet parent, but
yeah.
I'll respect. But there's also the other end of the spectrum where it's like, you know,
Hourly,
there's
hourly
yeah,
care.
it's just a little too much. And I was just like, I need to feel comfortable. It's a mutual exchange, right? So you gotta trust me, and I'm gonna let you know if something's weird. I'm gonna let you know if something's off. And like, I can't send a picture with the dog, not smiling brightly, because now it's like, oh, what's wrong with the relax, like, you know. So now I'm like, okay, I'm only taking pictures of your dog smiling bright. I'm gonna make sure it's filtered so it's a bright background. Like, I have to do all this work. And I was like, I just couldn't relax and get into it. And the dogs were perfect. They were wonderful. But I was like, I don't like your parents.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so that was that.
And then the cat changed your life. You've never had a cat before?
Never had a cat. I'm allergic, so I try to kind of stay away from cats, but like at home, I'll feed the cats outside my house and everything. But yeah, I was like, let me see how it goes. And the owner was so sweet. She was so new to the site. So she kind of wanted me to walk her through things. And I actually helped her with her welcome guide,
Oh,
because not every host like knows how to do that or thinks they provide enough information. So I do try to just add that as just to be helpful. But the cat was great. The only thing is like, sometimes these hosts, they expect their animals to act with you how they would with them. And so she's like, around 4 o'clock, she's going to come out to the living room, and then she's going to do this. And then around 6 o'clock, she's going to start playing. I'm like, your cat's not doing any of that. Like, she's staying under the covers. She doesn't want me to be here. She doesn't know me. I think she's kind of depressed, like, and she was getting really worried. But then slowly the cat started coming out. Slowly the cat would start meowing if I was staying on my computer too late. Like, she was meowing like she had grandmother energy. It was just like, you need to come to bed now. And
it's
then like I was like, and by the time I left, the cat was totally warmed up. But every animal needs to adjust.
that's right.
And I kind of had to educate the host on that. Like, you got to relax. Like, they're going through their own process. They have their own stressors, and give them a minute, and I'm going to be your partner in this. So we're all in communication. We're doing this together.
Oh,
But yeah, everything like I said, I try to be selective with these house sits. If I feel like I'm not going to feel comfortable sleeping in a bed, I also don't like to be spied on or tracked
right.
because I feel like, so if I feel like you got cameras, or I don't know, if there's certain things that I look for, if I feel like you're going to listen in on, and it's not even like I'm doing anything, but I just like my privacy,
That's
and
trust.
I'm being selected because I'm trustworthy, so you got to just be easy. Now, I'm not saying like outside your house and all that, but I don't need you, so there's certain things I look for, but, and if that means I don't house it as often,
Mhm.
that's fine. But yeah, so far it's been great. So thank
Good.
you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Yeah. So, I want to say to everyone who thinks they're not a cat person, you probably will be. If you did some cat sits, you would probably understand how much easier they are. And yes,
Oh
too,
yeah.
I had a cat where I'm like, girl, you said your cat was in this apartment, but I haven't seen your cat yet. And she'll be like, you'll see her at some point. Don't worry. It probably took. I know I had some fuzzy slippers. I went and put my fuzzy slippers on, and then the cat was like, meow. Right. But cats are so amazing because you don't have to walk them, because they poop in a box. Some cats poop outside. You don't even have to deal with it.
Yeah.
They have automatic feeders sometimes. They have automatic water fountains sometimes. Cats are amazing. Yeah. All right. So I'm so glad that you've made this your thing, like made it your own, and made sure that you found a way for it to work for you instead of you having to contort yourself to like house sitting. You've contorted house sitting so that it fits you. I appreciate that. I
Hmm.
love that. I love that for us. And more houses with pools and housekeepers in our future, right? More of that.
Good. Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't had luck with the woman who was on before D with just plant sets, but I'm gonna be adjusting my filters because you know we deserve. Yeah. I mean, the more, and it's also like, I just want to say the last thing is like, it's also like a manifestation exercise for me.
Okay.
Like, the more I'm in these spaces with, I've had houses where I'm like, where's the microwave? I'm looking 20 minutes for a microwave because the microwave does not look like a traditional microwave because y'all too fancy.
Uh,
But now I'm like, yeah,
yes.
whenever I get my dream home, I'm going to have the blah 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 microwave because I deserve,
Uh-huh.
like, so it's also just like getting used to nicer things,
That's
and when you elevate that in your life, it's kind of like you expect better. So
elevate is the right word. That's right. That's right.
yeah, and it's not to say I don't do regular, because I am regular. I'm pretty down to earth, and as long as like the host is cool, the environment's cool, and especially if it's a space that I want to explore through slow travel, it's I'll take the sit, but it's the vibes have to be right.
Yes. That's right. That's right. That's wonderful. I'm so glad. So, do you have a place? I'm sorry I didn't ask this to the first three ladies. Do you have a place where you share things on the internet, a YouTube channel, an Instagram that's public or something? It's okay if the answer is
Mhm.
no. It's just a question.
I'm a little shy and I've gotten shyer on social media, but I am going to start up my podcast again soon. It's Black Travel Podcast. It sort of came out of the Black Lives Matter movement, because I'm like, we don't, we got to expand our horizons. But I'm not launching again till this winter.
Okay.
But we're coming back. I've been on a hiatus. But yeah, anything I can do to get us out there, even if it's like, I know people 40 plus who are like, I'm too scared to travel, but like, or to leave the States, I should say.
Hmm.
But they are willing to road trip. They are willing to house sit. They are, like, we just gotta, like I said, expand our horizons in any way possible. So yeah. So personally, not much social media, but yeah,
Okay.
my
That's
platform
fine.
is coming back. Yeah, thank you.
Let us know. Keep us posted in the chat when it's back. Tell us, okay?
All
And
right,
then
sounds.
invite me on, please. Thank you.
Oh, I would love that.
Okay.
Yes, girl. Yes, first guest. Okay.
Invite me. Okay,
Thank you so
wonderful. Thank you
much.
so much, Reed. Thank you. It was so nice to meet you and talk to you. I hope I'll get to see
You
you again
too.
soon.
Same here. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Oh, that was awesome. Okay, Deborah, are you here? Where we at? Where we at? I lost my thing. I found it. Boom. Okay, Deborah, you ready to come on? I'm adding you.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Great. Thank you. So nice to meet you.
Hi,
Talk to you.
Deborah.
Hope I
Can
can
you
see you
mute?
too.
Hi. Can you mute your
Same here. Take care.
what you're watching?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Deborah is
Oh,
in.
awesome.
Let me
Okay,
get my
Deborah,
screen
are
ready
you
by
here?
getting your
Where
link.
you at? Where you at? I lost my
Why?
thing.
Okay.
I found it.
Okay. Can you? I think you're
Good.
watching me
Okay,
on YouTube. Can you mute
can you
or
hear
close?
me?
Yeah, but you're watching me. So
Okay.
can you mute
Okay,
that?
can you hear me? Okay, you caught me laughing.
Okay. Good. Yeah, we can
Wait a
hear
minute. Let
you.
me see. I got to turn the sound up. Okay.
Can you hear
Can
me?
you hear me? Because I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Yes. Yes, I can hear you. You can't hear me? Come on,
Wait a
Deborah. We
minute.
can do it. We can do it. We
Yeah,
can do
but
it.
you're watching me. Okay.
Wait,
Okay,
not
can you hear
that.
me?
Not that.
Okay, you caught me laughing.
Not that.
Good. Yeah. Wait a minute. Let me see. I got to turn the sound up. Are
While
you
we're
getting
getting,
feedback? Can you hear me? Because I can't
yes,
hear you. I can
yes.
hear you.
Okay,
Are you getting feedback?
I am. So you're
Okay,
going
great.
to
I can
have
hear
to
you. Okay,
exit
good.
out of,
Now I can.
okay, can you
Now I
exit?
can. Come on. Wait a
Can you
minute.
close
We can do
YouTube?
it.
Close YouTube.
Yeah, but you're watching. Okay, can you hear me? Okay,
There's
you
a
caught
delay.
me laughing. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
I'm going to turn this off.
Yeah.
There
Yes,
you go.
please. Thank you. All
Is that
right,
better?
perfect. Perfect. Hi. Hi, Deborah. Introduce yourself
Okay,
and a
I
little bit about your
see
family.
you,
Okay.
but I don't hear you. Hold on. Let me make
Okay.
sure I don't have it. No, I don't
Uh,
have it on. No.
let's see. I'm going to keep talking and then I'm going to find Deborah's YouTube channel and Facebook community while we're doing this. Okay. We're going to,
On the air, you're in the broadcast,
yeah.
but I can't hear you.
So on your computer, do you have earphones?
I don't,
Can you
no, I don't
get,
have headphones.
can
Oh,
you,
put the headphones in.
see if that,
Okay, hold on.
okay. And then Deborah's community
Alrighty.
is called 60 plus Black women expats. It came up right away on Facebook. Okay, so 60 plus, I have to say it, Black women expats Facebook community. Okay, there's that. And then I'm also going to link to Deborah's YouTube channel while we're doing this. Deborah is in Manta, Ecuador. I may have to do her interview. Okay, she's in Manta, Ecuador. She has been there. Is it 2 years? I'm going to say 2 years. We'll find out. And she loves it. And she's got a wonderful friend group. We already heard from Deborah Austin. This is Deborah Valrie. She's got a wonderful friend group, a wonderful community. They be out there living their lives.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Are you plugged in?
Let's see. Okay.
See if you
No.
can hear me now. And then this is the link to her YouTube channel. All right, Deborah, are you hearing
Okay,
me?
say something.
Let's see if you can hear me now. I'm
I
going to
can't
talk.
hear you.
Uh,
That's crazy.
hmm.
Uh, oh,
So,
I know what I did. Hold on.
okay.
I think I have it connected. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to keep talking until you
So
can hear.
let's
I'm just going to,
see.
I can fill some time. I got things to say. All right. And then, so I've linked to Deborah's YouTube channel and her Facebook community. If you're a black, listen, the 60 plus women be like, what about the over 60 gang? What about the over 60 gang? This is, Deborah has created some spaces for you. You're welcome here, of course. You're here already, and I'm glad you're here. But Deborah was one of the main. What about the over 60 gang? Stephanie, do you have anything for the over 60s? And then I said, make it. And so she's got a wonderful community, a wonderful Facebook group, a wonderful YouTube channel, and then a real life in person gang, a real life in person girl gang in Manta, Ecuador, that we are going to go visit Labor Day weekend. Okay, so I said that briefly earlier. Exodus Summit is going to Manta, Ecuador, Labor Day weekend, 2024. If you're in the Exodus Summit community, you'll see the information there. And go ahead and, if you're coming, say you're coming. If you think you're coming, say you think you're coming. Okay, we need a good count. We're not a bloated count. Thank you. Okay, let's see if we're on here. Okay, Deborah, how's the sound now?
Yes, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We're ready. We're ready. All right.
Okay, great.
Please introduce yourself to everyone.
Okay. I am Deborah Valrie. I discovered house sitting and got rejuvenated in terms or rebirthed my love for international travel through Stephanie Perry, who I discovered when I had just kind of forgot that I loved international travel and was settled as being a grandmother. Then one day, lo and behold, I see this woman and she's saying, I can do this. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I have an empty nest and I love international travel, and house sitting is a way to do it affordably. So it was like, okay. And I love pets. I love pets. And so I just jumped in feet first. I started trolling you, asking you questions. And you were like,
That's
why
not
don't you start your own channel? I was like, oh my God, she answered me. She sees me. And now I've taken get your next three clients. That was wonderful. Then I did how to build your YouTube channel, and I mean you've just taught me so much. And now 60 plus Black women expect space group. It's almost 4,000 women all over the world.
I know.
3,800. I they run the group. I will ghost my own group because it's like if I don't have anything to say, I just don't say it. I ghost my own YouTube channel. I'm like, or I'll do get excitement. I have so many videos that I haven't uploaded. It's
Yeah. YouTube is like that. YouTube is like that. Listen, it's okay. Get back on a schedule. Get them up there. But the Facebook group, it's wonderful to have a Facebook community of people where you don't have to be there monitoring things. You can dip away for a little bit, and they have it. They have it. They take care of things. They take care of each other. Most importantly, take care of each other. Your community is like
they
that.
do.
My community is like that. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful
It,
thing.
it is. And I tell them all the time, I remind them, I'm like, this group is so you can ask, has anybody been to, and they name a place, and three or four sisters would say, yeah, just left there. I live there. Or here's the name of the local Facebook group there because it doesn't always have Black in the name.
Yeah.
I mean, it may have urban or it may be other side of, I mean, they just have the most creative name for these Facebook groups. And I've had people say, oh, there's no other Black people here. And then they find out there's a whole community that doesn't know you're there.
Yeah.
And so I love that part of connecting the women.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful part about being alive today. I'm so glad to be here at this time in the world, in history. I'm so glad because there's when else would we be able to just connect with people so easily all over and like literally
I
like
mean,
connect with them, not just become Facebook friends, but like real life friends, real friends. It's a wonderful thing. So you're
I
in.
run into people in the grocery store here in Manta,
Uh,
and the Black dysphoria here, Esmeraldas, um, they look just like us because they're Black dysphoria. And so I don't just speak because then they'll start speaking Spanish and I'm lost. But I'll have people wave and wave, and then they'll catch me 3 hours down and go, I know who you are. You're Deborah Valrie, 60 plus. I'm in your group. And I'm like, I
oh,
didn't even know you were here.
oh,
And so I'm always so overwhelmed and surprised when people do that because Ecuador has African American expats in Ecuador, which is the big Facebook group that Jewel runs.
okay.
And so if I'm not on there on a daily basis, and if I go to my own group, I'm not in other person's group
Yeah,
daily.
yeah,
So I don't know they're in town until they run into me, but it's so good to run into them. And
yeah.
they're all a buzz about you coming because I walk with like six ladies on the beach and they're like, who's Stephanie Perry? And I'm like, she's the Oprah Winfrey of house sitting.
Okay. I'll be back.
And they're like, well, what do we do? And I said, I don't think we do anything. Just click on her link if you plan to meet and greet the ladies.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I'm just going to show up.
Anything. I'm
Yeah.
showing up, right? You gave us the name of a hotel that also had a restaurant in it.
Yeah.
So I plan to
Yeah.
get a good count and then contact the hotel and be like, "Can we have this many space for this many?" That's it. We're just gonna sit at a restaurant, and then if
That's
y'all
it.
want to do something on, that's probably going to be on Saturday, and then on Sunday I'm going to be working because I still have to work because some of us are not retired, Deborah. So I'm gonna be working on Sunday, but they may want to do something else on Sunday because there are some women coming to Manta specifically for the meetup, so they may want to meet up
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Okay.
all it's gonna be. Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited. Okay. My house
So,
sitting. My
yeah, when's
house
the
sitting
last
has
time your
been,
house sat?
I house sat when I first moved to Montana. I want to tell you about the first house. I
Okay.
think mine is different. I've been listening the whole time
Uh-huh.
because house sitting when you have a dog, and everybody knows I have Tyson, my service dog. So I was under you, and you said first do a house sit locally so you can test how you do it and get a good review and everything like that before you go internationally. So I did that. I house sit in Dallas when I was still there, and but I didn't get a house sitter for Tyson. So it ended up being work because I was driving like
Oh,
an hour to set her dog, and then I had nobody to watch Tyson. So then I'm driving back to let Tyson out. So it was work. And I was like, I don't think this is what she meant by do it locally when you have a dog and she didn't want me to bring my dog.
yeah.
So um her dog was a little dog, and she was like, "Well, you can't." She had a yard. She's like, he can go in the yard, but he can't go in the yard alone because there's an eagle,
Hmm.
and the eagle already has his eye on my
Yeah,
dog.
that's
And
real. That's real.
so I had to be careful to be always watching because I was an owl, was an owl, and I was like, yeah, the owl will get her dog. I didn't want to come back, the lady come back, and I tell her the owl went that away with it.
Tyson is in
But
his
that it
coming
was
year of
kind of
love.
stressful. And I could take her dog in the car with me to go see Tyson, but Tyson's a big dog, and I didn't want her dog, since she said no dogs around there. So I would then have to go up to my condo, go in, get my dog, then put her dog in and take my dog. Well, it was just work. It
Okay.
was just work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then my next house sit, my first international house sit
Uh-huh.
was here in Manta, and that was through Diamond, which I love the
Oh, good.
community of Earth. And she knew I was relocating. By this time, it's a year later, I'm relocating. And she goes, when are you arriving? And I said, the 11th. And she goes, you don't have an international house sit yet. And I have a friend whose house is going to be available on the 13th. And I was like,
Oh,
yeah, I'll do it.
okay.
And it was a beautiful place, when I first arrived in Manta, I was ocean view, but not ocean front. He was ocean front, and he had so I had his condo right ocean front. It was a 10-year-old lab. She was so settled and so sweet, and she was really easy. But again, it was difficult because I brought Tyson. So now it's only a 15-minute taxi ride back and forth. But because I had just arrived there, I didn't find a house set for Tyson. And I hadn't met the group yet. I arrived on the 11th, a house set on the 13th.
Okay.
So my timing was kind of screwed up.
Okay.
But it did help me learn the city
Okay.
going back and forth from my condo to his condo. Uh, it did give me exposure to being like in a house versus being in a condo. So it was all good, and it was only for 10 days. And so I'm still learning this house sitting thing, and so because I haven't done that many, and then I forget that I can use it,
That's
that
right.
I can go house sit somewhere.
So Trusted House
Yeah,
Sitting even
and
has a combined membership, so you could get a house sitter and go house sit at the same time. You can book a house
and I
sitter
did.
to take care of.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm double registered. I'm registered to sit and to house sit, and I did that because I did the first 60 plus had grown enough that we wanted to meet each other, the ladies from all over the world. So we did a Panama relocation tour
Yes.
last year. We're doing another one this year in January, but we did one, our first one last year. We met in Panama, and I did use house sitters to get a house sitter to watch Tyson for a week while we
Okay.
went on that tour. And we're going to do another one in January. So I'm going to get another house sitter
Okay.
to house at Tyson. So I'm using it both ways. How about that?
Wonderful. That's good news. Yeah, so there are two ways that people house sit when they have dogs, right? So Free Spirit, hi. So you may have missed earlier we talked to Apriel who took Roxy on a house sit with her. Roxy has a small dog, so Roxy was able to go house sitting with Apriel. Deborah's doing a different direction. She's getting a house sitter to come and stay and take care of Tyson while she goes and takes care of someone else's home and pets. I've done that. I've house sat for people. Hi, Tyson. Oh, how pretty. Oh, what a good boy. I can
He's a
already tell.
camera. He was way over there asleep, but when I'm on the phone, he's
Yes,
like, he thinks it's his friends.
we are his friends. How pretty. Oh, yeah. So you can get a membership with Trusted House Sitters that where you're both a client and a sitter. So you can have someone come and sit for you while you go sit other places. Some people mix it up and do both. When you have a bigger dog, though, it probably is harder for people to say yes, but not impossible.
Yeah,
Not impossible.
yeah, and he looks so vicious, because he has that brindle color, and
Uh-huh.
I'll show them, and they're like, no, we think you want, we just want you.
They don't know he's a big baby. Look at him, a
He
big old.
is a big baby. He is a big, but he's also a bully. He loves to scare a little dog. He does. He'll
Oh,
like he's
okay.
gonna, and he likes to see him run. And
Okay.
then he'll just sit down and play with him. He's not. Yeah, I'm working on that.
Deborah Austin says that you take him on your walks on the beach. He walks with you guys on the beach.
Yeah,
Oh,
and Deborah's my neighbor. She's right down there. So that was one of those. I felt like I knew her when she got here. Her husband Rusty, and we see each other at game night and all this other kind of stuff. Because we do have a great retirement community down here.
you do, you
Yeah,
do. Do you
yeah.
think that someone who's not retirement age yet, who maybe is younger, like a family, would they like Manta as well?
That question came up because another thing I'm experimenting with is the co-living because I have a 3 bedroom and everybody has their own bath and view and all this other kind of stuff. And I did that when I first got here because family came a lot the first year and I was going to give it up and go to a 1 bedroom.
Okay.
But then because I am not everybody in 60 plus is over 60, some are in their 40s. But some of the ladies are still timid about traveling by themselves. And so I've had, I think, 4 or 5 house guests that come and stay here. And we're like, yeah, because when we get real old, maybe we need to have another person in the house just in case something happens. And I had a fall. And that made me think about it. It was like, oh my God, I fell in the shower,
Oh no.
and I was like, it was just me and Tyson. I didn't get hurt, but it made me, what if?
Okay.
What if there's another person even in the same building? And I have friends in the same building, but I started thinking and brainstorming that way.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm still doing that. I'm still brainstorming
Yeah.
in
So
that area.
that's the thing that I'm thinking about in Costa Rica because I keep seeing these 4 and 5 bedroom, homes, 4 and 5 bedrooms, 4 and 5 bathrooms. I don't need it. And but they're nice, right? They come with
I
nice.
know. When I went to look to downsize, I didn't find anything. I mean, my balcony is the whole length, and the guest bedroom faces the ocean. Now I'm ocean front. I go down my elevator and walk into the Pacific Ocean, and
Ooh,
I just, it's like Deborah Austin. I think I'm living a dream every time I wake up. I just, the seagulls. I mean, look, we looked out and saw whales, three whales playing out up on my balcony. And I lost my mind. I mean, and the girls, I was like, well, then we both ran to the balcony. We were like watching. It was like three wells. And then her birthday is this weekend, and we're going to take a boat out to
oh,
get
good,
close to the wells.
good, good.
So,
Oh, enjoy,
yeah.
enjoy. Okay.
And, oh, the other house sitting thing.
Yeah.
The reason why Tyson flies with me, he's a service dog, he's trained.
Okay.
But one of the things that people come up with, or and this may be from the house setter frame of reference, was once I left the U.S., I had to jump through hoops to get him here. I had to
Yeah.
go through the USDA. I'm like, we're not going to eat him, you know.
Yeah.
But in trying to bring him back, I had to, for a visit. I didn't plan to have to get a house sitter this last time. I was going to bring him back, but then the CDC gets involved.
Yeah.
So it's just money grabs. So
Yeah.
it's between the CDC and USDA. I was up to $700 to
To
bring Tyson back.
try to fly him back to the
And
U.S.
I just
Visit.
didn't get it because then she said, and when she did the one more thing, that's when I said, no, I'm just getting a house sitter.
Good.
I just get a house sitter. And
Good.
so uh, that's just a note for people who may be traveling with dogs and house sitting or whatever. If you go to house sit in a country where your host country feels like that country is at risk, you may have a problem bringing your dog back to
Uh,
where you live.
So when was that trip?
That was I kept postponing. It was going to be July of last year when I found out the CDC was involved. That was $300 and almost a 2 month delay because they had to send the paperwork to Mexico, not Ecuador. They
Okay.
absolutely did nothing to the dog. It was all a paper
Paper trail.
money.
So you did.
So then it was going to be Christmas. Then he got sick,
Uh,
and then they were like, "Well, if he lands here, because he got the kids exhausted him on the beach, and he drank salt water and got sick."
okay.
Anyway, so and they were like, if he gets sick and you travel with him, we may quarantine him for 28 days in the U.S., and that would be $3,000.
Yeah.
So I was like, no. So I got the house sitter here, and I went without him. So when you
What,
have a pet, it's the things that comes with pets, and
yeah.
that's why there's house sitters.
What month was that?
That was January.
Okay. And then
So I went home.
how
So
was your
they said,
experience how was your experience with having a house sitter? You're the first person we've talked to today who's had a house sitter stay in their home. What was that like?
yeah, that was interesting because the ladies got introduced to him, and now they love him. So we see when we're walking on the beach, he spots them and he like takes out running, and it's a big party because he's playing with his house sitters and everything. So that did what they did well. I didn't do so well because I didn't write up. I thought I left them good instructions, but one of them said, "No, no, we need to show you how to do a host guide. You're
Okay.
horrible. You're horrible at the host guide."
Okay. Yeah, Trusted House Sitters has a thing called a welcome guide, and you put all your stuff in there. Okay. Yeah. So they helped
Yeah,
you set it up.
I wasn't good at that. I wasn't good at the welcome guide, and I didn't tell them he's obsessed with I hid his toys. They thought I was a mean owner, so they bought toys and threw frisbees, and then they go, he will just, I'll say he'll go until he passes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's 5 years old, but he's like a puppy. He obsesses about a toy.
Yeah.
And I feed him once a day, and he's a service dog, so he's strict. He's on a very strict, which he loves,
Okay.
but and he's not treat oriented. So they had a bunch of treats and stuff. He'll eat a treat, but he will not obey a rule for a treat
For the
because he
treat. Okay.
wasn't trained that way. So
Okay.
so I'll do a better job. But they were fantastic. I sucked as a host.
You'll get better. If they helped you make a guide,
I'll get better.
it'll
I'll
be
get
better.
better.
Okay. Wonderful. Again, I can't wait to see you. And so I'm super excited. I'm super excited. And I really, really appreciate you coming and sharing about house sitting with us.
Oh, glad to be here.
Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.
All right. Bye. And bye, Tyson. See you guys soon.
Oh, I got to tell you what Tyson did. Oh, this is really important.
Okay.
It's so well. I think it is. Because Tyson flies with me and he loves to fly, put on his vest and everything. When I left, he thinks I'm like dead or gone. Okay, so when she videoed, okay, you're getting just a little. Okay,
He's
here,
super, super
down, yeah,
energized.
yeah. Uh, I missed him, and so she videoed so I could see him. I made the mistake. It was fine with me seeing him because he's playing and having fun. I made the mistake of talking to him.
Oh.
And so then he saw me and realized, and he looks at the camera and then he goes, like, you left me. You're going to pay. The very next day, she goes, I don't know what happened to Tyson. I woke up and he had chewed up this mat. And Tyson doesn't destroy anything. So he picked what he was like, okay, I can get away with letting her know I'm mad with this. I'm not going to touch her shoes, but I'm
Uh,
going to chew up this mat.
he was like,
And I was like, oh, yeah, he's mad he got left. So
he
I
said,
would
all
tell
this time,
people,
he said,
it's,
all this time I've been feeling bad, thinking something happened to you, and you out living your life without me. You gonna pay.
I knew when he cocked his head to the side like that, it was like, oh, okay. So you're traveling without me.
He knew. That's funny. Yeah, they know. They
So
know.
words
That's
are
why I
wise.
try to
Do
talk to. I
have them
talk.
send pictures to you, but don't talk to your dog.
Okay, good advice. Listen, I tell them things. I give them updates because they can understand a little bit about what you're saying, right? If you tell him you're going for 30 days, he might not know exactly what 30 days means, but you give him a little,
Yeah,
give him a heads up. Let him know some things. Tell
yeah.
him. Don't
I,
be. Don't surprise him. Don't sneak up on him.
bye,
Oh,
Stephanie.
bye, Deborah. Thanks. Bye, Tyson. All right. So the lineup is still growing. Let's cut this off. So if you haven't already clicked on the link, oh wait, Cat. Except for Cat. Cat disappeared. Come back, Cat. If you still want to talk to us about house sitting, I'll stick around. I did say we were going to cut it off at noon Eastern time. It's now noon and a half. But you know what? We're gonna keep talking. So Simon, are you ready? Okay. Okay. And Cat, Rebloom Room, if you want to come back, come back. And that's it. We'll cut that off. Hi, Simon. Hi, I'm
Yeah.
Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for getting my name right because people mess it up all the time.
Oh, I did. I win. Okay, thank you. Introduce yourself.
My name is Saman. I actually have been following you since last year. You are responsible for me uh, starting the pet sit process, and actually, I've gone on a few different pet sits.
Good.
Now I'm trying to get one in Chicago for the DNC convention. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Where do you
yeah,
live?
I live in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay, okay. So Norfolk is do you house sit around the DC area or where have your house sits been so far?
Okay. My first house sit was in South Carolina.
Oh,
Also Guadalajara,
oh,
Mexico. I did do one sit that was in the area, so a few different places.
oh, okay, okay, all right. So you've just been going around.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm planning a trip, a move abroad, so I'm kind of doing scouting trips right now.
good. Okay, so you're using how that's why is that why you went to Guadalajara?
Yes, yes. I had planned to like relocate to San Miguel de Allende,
Yeah.
but then remember Rashida talking about how they were going through a water crisis and all that. So I was like, no, let me, pivot. And so I considered some other places and then ended up thought Guadalajara was going to be the place, but now I'm looking at Panama.
Okay. I would say that keep San Miguel on your list and get there. I don't know that so Mexico City is where the water problem was. I don't know if there was a water problem in San Miguel. And then know that there's rainy season and the water gets replenished and whatever. So
Okay.
maybe keep the women, if you were interested in San Miguel because you're into a small town vibe,
Hmm.
keep it on your list. Don't take it off. It's a wonderful place and the women there are nice and you'll like them. But also
Okay. Well,
same with Panama. Same with Panama.
okay.
I don't know if there's any place. So I guess that description fits a lot of different places though.
I was thinking more of even though I love the water, I was thinking about Paguete, Panama.
Boquete up in the mountains. Okay.
Hmm.
There are a lot of choices. There are a lot of choices, and they're not there a lot of them. You'd be happy in a few different places, right? So
Hmm.
there some of them are never going to be the wrong choice, right? There
Yeah.
are places that are the wrong choice, but between Boquete and San Miguel and here and there, there's no
Hmm.
place probably that's a bad choice. They're beautiful
Yeah.
places
I
that
don't like Guadalajara that much though. It's too city for me.
yeah, okay. Okay. Then
Mhm.
you may really like San Miguel. And I've
Okay.
not been to Boquete, but you may like it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So you're house sitting to scout out some places. Are you retired? Are you still working? Are you on a sabbatical?
I'm retired. I'm retired now.
Oh,
I
good.
really have been out of. I'm only 55, but I'm doing the early retirement.
Wonderful.
I've been. Thank you. Yeah. So like, I retired in October of last year. It's kind of hard to say that. There's a part of me that wants to go back to work, so we'll see.
It's okay to be retired and then just go back to work when you feel like it. That's fine. But you still are. I think you still are retired. It still counts as retired, even if you can unretire.
Yeah. I go back, it'll only be part time.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. And then so you start use house sitting to scout some places out, or you are using house sitting to scout out some places.
Yeah.
Were you already taking care of pets, or did you already have pets? Was this something that you had to get used to, or were you already into it?
No, I've had pets before. My pet now is in the house with my ex-husband, though, so I don't have any pets in the home anymore. But yeah, I was used to pets. I had never house sat any cats until recently, and like you said, they are very easy to care for. So I think that's going to be my preference from now on.
Yes, it's night and day, especially if you get a cat that's not all on you. There are puppy cats, right? There are cats who are just like are super clingy, but there are also cats who are like, you do your thing and I'll do mine. Okay?
Yeah,
Don't bother me. I won't bother you. It's a really nice life.
I'm enjoying it. So
Good. Good, good. Okay, so what um what do you want to tell us? Is there something about house sitting that you want to share that you think we haven't shared that I haven't been sharing out in the world? Something new, something what or like what yeah, what is something that surprised you about house sitting maybe?
I was surprised that sometimes you can well, one of the things that I'm requiring now is that all parties be involved, because I had a situation where I did everything that the lady that I interviewed did,
Uh-huh.
but apparently she didn't communicate with her husband,
Uh-huh.
and so he expected things that I wasn't even told about.
Okay.
So I think it's a good idea when you're going through the interview process to have all parties
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's house sitting is where it really struck me how much of the load women carry in their households. That's when I was really like, what is going on with y'all? The husband
Yeah.
is like totally clueless. So I've never had it involved. No, that's not true. There have been times when if they are a husband and wife, I have had a couple of houses where the husband was in charge of the pet. It was like the husband's pet, and so he was in charge. But most of the time, the wife is doing everything, and he's totally clueless. She's talking about I brush his teeth once a month, and he's like, "You do?" And then she's like, "This is the food." And every now and if he gets an upset stomach or such and such, I add rice to his food. He's like, "You do?" Like he's totally clueless. He don't know nothing.
Yeah, it was the reverse in this situation. And that's the weird thing, because he was more in charge of the dog, but he didn't show up for the pre-interview. He didn't show up. I met him for like 5 minutes the day of the sit, and
Uh-huh.
then he had some things to say in my review, and I'm like, well, he never told me that you. And apparently, because what one thing that happened was I was coming from Guadalajara, Mexico. That's another thing I would tell people. Make sure you schedule some time in between the sit, more than 2 days, to kind of recoup, especially if you're going, I guess, cross country. Because I came from the Guadalajara sit, and then I had another sit once I got back within 2 days.
Okay.
And it
Okay.
just so happens that my flight was delayed, and I'm doing all the communication with the wife, but she apparently is not telling him. So
Mm.
he thinks I'm showing up late.
Oh no.
So
Oh.
yeah, it's yeah.
They got a bigger problem, right?
Yeah, there's something going on because apparently they don't communicate.
Right? That's a bigger problem than what he wrote in the review. They have a problem. Oh, okay. Did you find that have you sat since then? Have you booked a house sit since then?
Actually, I was supposed to book one in what part of Mexico was it? I think that was in San Miguel de Allende. But then something came up, and so I couldn't go on that sit. So right now, I'm hoping that the Chicago sit goes through, and I put out a couple of sits for Buquete. So we'll see how
Okay.
that comes
Good.
around.
Good. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of like, I want to go to this event. Let me book a house sit so that I can be there and not pay for a place to stay. I love to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the convention is still in August, right? It's not September.
right. It's August 19th through the 22nd, and
Okay.
I
It's
before I
still
can even go, I have to get this delegate to sponsor me. So I've
oh,
reached out to my congressman and my delegate too, because only delegates and like Congress people and other people that are involved can actually go.
okay. Okay, so you have
Yeah,
some moving parts. I hope it works out. I hope you get there and I hope it's smooth. The process isn't too annoying and frustrating. Chicago, do you like Chicago?
I've only been there like in the airports. I've never really seen Chicago, but it's a place I definitely want to see, and I know it's a place that you always talk about how the people are so cool there.
The best
And
people, black women in Chicago are awesome. Find make some friends somehow before you go, even if it's just reaching out to women inside the Exodus Summit community and saying who wants to go to lunch or whatever. And Chicago in the summertime, it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful place. I don't know how crowded it'll be because of the convention, but like
mhm.
go being out and around in Chicago, it's a wonderful time to be in a. It's a wonderful city and a wonderful time to be there. So I hope it all works out so
Yeah,
that
me
you
too.
can go. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's awesome. All right, so you're
Yeah.
scouting out some places. When do you think you're going to want to move? Do you have a time frame?
Well, the plan was to actually be out of where I'm leasing now,
Uh-huh.
which is up May the 31st. So as soon as possible, as soon as I find a place that I like,
Huh.
because I'm paying like an extra $300 per month because I don't have a lease in
Because
place.
you're month to month. Oh,
Yeah,
that's how they get you.
I do. I hate that. So but yeah, that was the plan. Guadalajara was going to be my saving grace, but when I got there, I was like, no, this ain't me.
So, how much stuff do you think you're taking? Are you a person who has to land in a place that you're going to stay, or are you okay getting somewhere and seeing if you like it, and if you don't like it, then you try another place? Do you have to be sure before you go?
Typically I'm a person that likes to have everything planned out, and I like to, get there and do everything, but I've been trying to listen to you and being more flexible with that.
Good.
So yeah, I'm just gonna, take a couple of suitcases, see if I like it, and kind of figure it out.
Yeah, if you're okay, so if you're willing to travel with 3, 4 suitcases or less, right? And you're able to house sit, girl, just go. Stop paying that.
Yeah.
Just go. Pick up a house sit somewhere. Find a house sit in San Miguel. Go to San
Hmm.
Miguel. And then as long as you like it, you stay. And when you're ready to try someplace, go house sit in Panama for a while, then and then find a place to actually rent, a place to actually sign your name on some paper. I would go
Okay.
today. Okay. I would go after the convention. Listen, if the rent is too damn high, go out
Mm.
and house sit. Would you? Do you think that you would enjoy house sitting full time for a block of time, a few months, not forever, but like, would you be okay with back to back house sits with you and your luggage for a while?
that would be fine. But when I was in Guadalajara for a couple of weeks, I was like, "Ugh, when am I gonna go home?" So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So I've been trying to take like a week or 2 week sits just to kind of get my feet wet.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if I were to find a place that I could house sit in Buquete for like 6 months, that would be ideal.
You can, I don't know, I have not been looking at Boquete or Panama at all for house sits, but I know like San Miguel. Is there, do you have a third place? If Boquete and
Um,
San Miguel are still on the list, do you have a third place?
I thought about Portugal, but then I didn't really want to have to fly over the Atlantic and wanted to stay kind of within a 4 hour, 6 hour trip home.
Okay.
So,
So
yeah.
high altitude, like,
Costa Rica is an option.
okay. This is
Yeah.
another place where you see house sits, where there are houses. I would set some alerts and get out, get out to some places and see. I would set some alerts and just enjoy your freedom. Right? You have
Okay.
the freedom, enjoy it, use it, use it. Yeah, you don't have to do like I would say, right? You don't have to just take off with your suitcases with no places, with no home base.
Hmm.
Um, but you also don't have to have a home base, right? For a little while. Especially if you're in a place where you know some people. It's really comforting to be in a place where you know some people. The community can kind of be act as a home base as opposed to the location.
Yeah.
For some, now not for everybody. Everybody's different. I don't know, but for some of us, it's okay. It's okay to be out in the world as a free bird and not be tied down to a location. And then once you land, because house sitting may land you in a location that you really like that was not on your radar.
Okay.
Right? So just south of Guadalajara, I house sat in San Nicolas and Ajijic and Lake Chapala, right? A
Okay.
place I would never have even known about if it wasn't for house sitting. So house sitting might help you find a place that you feel so crazy about, like in love with being, that you wouldn't have known about before. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm looking for a place where I can find community,
Uh-huh.
of course, with not having any family there, and that allows me to do more traveling, explore. I'm a very kind of adventurous person, so.
Yeah. I hope you get to Panama sometime soon. We're going to Ecuador, Labor Day weekend. But I hope you can
Okay.
get yourself to Panama sometime soon. It might be the answer. That might be the answer for you. Might be a great answer for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So, house sitting, you like it. You're going to keep doing it, or house sitting, you've done it, you're over it.
I'm going to keep doing it.
Okay.
I don't think I've done enough of it to be over it,
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm definitely going to try to use that membership a little bit better.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. Keep us posted on you being in Chicago. And if you are going to be in Chicago during the convention, make sure you holler in Exodus Summit. Somebody will go to lunch with you or something, right? Do that.
Can I plug my channel? Because I do have a
Please.
YouTube channel because of you too.
Oh,
It's
I get all the credit. Look at me. Okay, tell me what it's called.
Survivor to Victor.
And so it's not that, can you give me what's it about? What's your channel about?
Actually, I'm a virtual consultant and I assist victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse to help them to overcome the tactics that are being used on them by
Oh,
providing solutions.
good, good.
Did you
I'm sorry. I'm still looking for your channel. So YouTube is funny about things.
Oh, it's a two in the middle.
Thank
Survivor
you.
to Victor.
Thank
Uh-huh.
you. Okay, because the words are words, YouTube is just showing me any video and not any channel name.
Okay.
And
And
do you,
there's no spaces in between.
okay, no spaces. Okay, we're gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. Survivor to Victor. There you are. All right, let me link to your
Hmm.
channel. S2V. Thank you.
Okay.
S2V Consulting
Uh-huh.
is the at on YouTube. All right, let me drop that here. Okay. And I know I asked you this, but can you say more words while I'm doing this? Say more words about your channel. Who should check out your videos and subscribe?
Okay. Anyone who's had, and it's kind of hard not to find someone who's had experience with a narcissistic abuse, or a person that's narcissistically abusive, or has a narcissistic personality disorder. If they're dealing with emotional or psychological abuse, the channel would be ideal for them. If they're looking for resources on how to get out of, say, toxic work environments, that's also very helpful for them. Um, yeah, anyone that's had any experience with narcissistic abuse. I've also written a book on the subject. So,
Okay.
mhm.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. I've dropped the link to your channel here in the chat, and I'll, of course, put it in the description later. I'll put it in the description for anyone who's watching the replay so that we can go over and subscribe to your channel, learn from
Thank,
you, heal with you.
thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, Saman. Thank you very much for coming over, for chatting with us, for keeping us, for letting us know what's happening. And now please keep us posted.
I will do that.
Okay.
Have a great
Thanks. You have a great day too.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Kat, are you ready? Okay. Let's do it. Boom. Hi, Kat.
I'm on.
You're
Hello.
on. You're live on the World
I'm
Wide Web.
live.
How are you?
I'm losing my voice. I have a very sexy voice today, so.
You do. Even sexier than usual. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself to anybody who has not been introduced to you yet.
Hello, I'm Kat with Rebloom Room, and Rebloom Room is a project of mine where I talk about holistic ways of finding more joy, bringing more joy into our lives, whether that's through international travel, retreats, and I'm also a Reiki practitioner, and I kind of have been doing Reiki for a long time, and I forgot that I could actually like offer Reiki to other people. So I've been doing, starting to do Reiki, like virtually for folks who are interested. So yeah, and I also do naps on my YouTube channel,
Yes.
live naps, so that we can just drop it, pause, and lay down, get some rest, and yeah, have it on your calendar so that you actually do it.
Yes. So
Yep.
Kat is doing nap with me videos, which I love, love, love. What what I had a question. I know I had a question.
That's
What
okay.
something? Okay.
I also
Let's
do decluttering videos. I've done that. I did that like, yeah, but like in December, I was like on a big decluttering roll, and I actually
good.
was on decluttering earlier today. So, yeah, I'm cleaning out my stuff, giving stuff away, giving stuff away. So yeah,
Decluttering for what? To what end? What is the purpose?
the purpose is to get my house like ready to either rent out or sell.
So that
So that I thank you, so that I can be free.
free.
Yes,
Free.
so that I can be free.
Yeah.
And yeah, my destination is not quite determined yet, and the means and all of everything. I'm just like clearing the path,
Good.
clearing the path. I have some ideas. I do have temporary residency in Mexico, and I have my eye on other locations. So yeah, moving forward.
Yeah. We'll see what
I'm
happens.
just moving forward.
So
Exactly.
what role is house sitting going to play in this, or is it playing?
It is. So, well, I'll just tell you like my house sitting sort of like the path.
Sure.
So the first one I did it was still sort of not quite lockdowny, but towards the end of lockdowny. Um, I did one locally around Thanksgiving. There was a family that was I'm in DC. They were going back to Britain to visit their family around Thanksgiving, and so I housed that for them. They had a dog, a three-legged dog, and a very sassy cat. And they had a beautiful house, not too far from mine. So it was very easy. It was just very quiet. They had a gym. They had, it was just comfortable and pretty easy. I mean, the dog, because she was three-legged, she didn't walk very far. The cat was sassy. That was the house sit where one of them critters left a headless squirrel at the outside in the doggy door, by the doggy door.
Don't tell
And
people. Listen, I'm on a mission to make people like cats. Don't tell them that part. Don't tell them.
it was a cat or the dog, I don't know, but the squirrel had no head. It was sitting right in front of the doggy door. And I was like, if I don't clean that up. One of these fools going to bring that into the house.
All the way in.
So I had to text the owners. I was like, do you have a shovel and some like big old bags? And so I found the shovel. I put it, I cleared it up. It was not my favorite moment of life.
Oh,
It
oh,
was, it was not my favorite.
that's the
It's not my
downside.
favorite.
That's
Yeah.
the downside
You
of
do. You just have to be ready to say, okay, this is my responsibility. I don't like it. Picking up the poop, scooping the litter, all of that stuff, and all of the meowing that you have to put up with. Meow, meow, meow. But I already fed you. Meow, meow, meow. But I already fed you. Meow, meow, meow. I want to go out, but it's midnight. No, no, no. Like, I love animals. I really do.
yeah.
So I put up with that stuff. I put up with it. But that was my first house sit. And then my next house sit was in Porto, and I sat for a nice big dog in Porto. And yeah, it was nice. The apartment was more like a grad student-y kind of feel. It wasn't super chic or
Okay.
especially, glamorous or anything, but it was in Porto. It was a great location. The dog was super sweet. He slept on the bed like this, snored a little bit. It was very cozy, but it was sweet. And I brought my work with me that one, so I was just working so it was European hours. So then I would start work with my East Coast job from like noon to 8 or something like that. Noon to 7. I don't know. Yeah. So that was great.
I'm sorry. I just want to ask you, so how did you like that? How long were you working those hours, and how did you like that? Because I prefer that. I prefer to be on European time than to be, I'm on Mountain Time, Mountain and Pacific. The pits. How do you feel? Do you have an opinion on these things? Does it not matter?
So far it hasn't really mattered. I mean, I got a little confused, because I did have a sit in Baja, California, Mexico, like the Mexico part of Baja. And so I was on, the company I was working for then was in Tennessee. So I guess they were, I got confused. I was like, I don't even know what time it is. And I would like double check the meeting times, like triple check. Cause it can be a little confusing.
Yeah.
So yes, I had a dog, helping me. He was kind of like my tour guide around Porto. And then in January, this past January, February, and a little into March, I was in Mexico, and I started in, Playa. I started in Playa with a dog and 5 cats. Yes, 5 cats. I never would have, two things I never thought I'd do: a pit bull and 5 cats.
Okay.
But it was beautiful. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. The dog was just Brisket. Her name was Brisket, and she was the sweetest. She was just sweet. She wasn't a puppy, so that was good. Like she'd gotten to the mellow part of Dogtown. And and the cats were like military precision trained. Like they knew exactly who got fed first. They had a lineup. This one gets first in that room. That one's second in that room. That one's third in that. And they all knew. They were like, okay, she's gone, I'm next. She's gone, I'm next. He's gone. They all knew where to go and what the lineup was. It was incredible.
Yeah.
A lot of litter boxes, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Comes with the territory. Yeah, it's even though I've done a whole lot of pet sits, it's really funny to me how trained, I don't know if they're trained or like how on schedule some animals are, right? Like it's bedtime. They'll tell you it's bedtime. It's time to turn these lights off. Okay.
Right.
It's time to eat. It's time to eat.
It's time to wake up. They'll put the paw on the bed. Come on, wake up. Or they'll be like, that's what the Porto dog would be. He was like, I'm like, you're not that hungry, Rodney. Stop.
I had a cat who would just knock one book off of the dresser. There were like 4 or 5 books stacked up on the dresser. Knock one book off the dresser. This was the first. It's 6 a.m. And then there's another. It's 6:50.
So rude.
And it's 6:30. I'm like, I'm getting up when I feel like it. Thank you. You're going to be fine. If you eat 15 minutes late, you'll be okay, right? It's so funny how they know what time it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, house sitting around Porto in Portugal, which is everyone's favorite country, I think. Was this a scouting trip or were you there just visiting?
It was semi-scouting trip. Yeah, like I'm always like on putting things on the radar, like do would I want to live here? And I could live in Porto for sure.
Good,
Yeah,
good. Yes,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
on
for
a
sure.
mission to help people understand how awesome Portugal is. Even though
I
I'm
don't
not
think you have
there,
to
I
push
think that
that hard. I
the
don't think
people
you have to. That's fine. People know.
they know. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
I'll relax.
it's
I'll
fine.
relax.
Porto has a good PR campaign going. I think we're good, right?
Well, I don't know. Every now and then we hear
Yeah.
people talk about why Portugal, why Portugal, right?
Really?
Some people are still remember that we're in a little echo chamber. Is it called echo chamber?
Okay.
We're in a little echo,
Uh-huh.
little feedback chamber. There are quite a few
Um,
people who are still like, "Oh, why would you move there? Why would you move here?" They
don't worry
only
about
have a handful of
it.
places on their radar, and Portugal's not one of
Yeah.
them. But also,
Mm-hmm.
Portugal's probably, you know, full. It might be getting full now. So, all right. So, do you
Yeah.
have any house sits coming up? Do you have any house sits planned? You and your hammock?
Mm-hmm. I do. I am going to be in San Miguel de Allende this
Oh,
fall. Yeah.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you know how long you'll be there?
The sit is for 2 months.
Wonderful,
I
wonderful.
know. I know.
Do you already
Yeah.
know some Black women in San Miguel?
No, no. Well, wait. Well, I know Michelle, San Miguel Michelle, of course.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I actually just confirmed this yesterday, so I haven't
Oh,
started like, doing my Googles and doing my hello, hello, come hang with me's. But
oh.
yeah,
Breaking
yeah,
news then.
I'm
Oh, congratulations.
excited.
So
Yeah,
San
I'm
Miguel de
excited.
Allende. It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
fun. The food is good. The weather's good. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And I'll be there during Day of the Dead. I'll also be there during Exodus Summit, so that's nice. Because I swore I was like really like a couple weeks ago, I was like, I am getting a house sit in Mexico. I
Okay.
really didn't care where almost. I
Okay.
was like, I am getting and so I applied for a lot. I
Okay.
did. I applied for maybe 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had just like that was the second like video call I had. And then I was like,
Good.
I'm gonna cancel all the rest. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember if it's like, do you remember what pet you're sitting during that time?
Cat.
Good.
One
Okay.
cat.
Because San Miguel is in the friends, San Miguel is in the state of Guanajuato, and that is the birthplace of independence in Mexico. And they go all out for Independence Day. When one of there are
Yeah.
multiple Independence Days. Okay. There are
Mm-hmm.
two different Independence Days in September in Mexico. One is
Mm-hmm.
about when the war started, and one is about when the war ended. That's my
Mm-hmm.
understanding. That September 16th, Independence Day, in throughout the state is beautiful. And if you have an
Yes.
opportunity to get to Hidalgo, Dolores Hidalgo, or somewhere else. But even in
Uh-huh.
San Miguel, they will parade. They will be
Mm.
there. Will be
All
parades.
those fireworks.
The
Yes.
kids will be dressed up. Oh my gosh, the kids dress up so cute. The girls dress up in those little colonial dress things, and the boys dress up in the little holster and hat and gun
Mm-hmm.
and boots.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm.
a wonderful place to be at a wonderful time. So that's awesome. And then I don't even yeah. And then Day of the Dead on top of that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yay.
actually haven't I'm looking forward to actually want to do like a real Day of the Dead, like honoring my
Yeah.
mother. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Looking forward to
awesome.
that.
Yes, yeah. So house sitting, I'm glad that house sitting is helping make that happen for you.
Yeah.
Making that happen.
Yeah, just being able to scout, see different areas of Mexico. I've been to Mexico multiple times, but this will be my first time in San Miguel. And I probably will like do a week like a week beforehand and go to, what's Querétaro, because I
Oh,
haven't been to
good,
Querétaro before either. And I'm just,
good,
you have to fly into Querétaro anyway to get to San
that's right.
Miguel. So I'll do that
Good.
probably. Yeah.
There's a nice gang in Querétaro too. Angela and the gang. They're
Mm,
all in there. They're all
yay.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them come and go, but I think Celeste might be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that'll be a
Mm,
nice place to stop too. A nice place to hang
yeah.
out and spend some time as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Good.
so I feel like I'm just breathing a sigh of relief. Like my fall plans are good, and now I can start like actually network and see who's there and find, do some Googles about like the best like places to eat and stuff like
Good. So what do you do with your home in DC when you're out house sitting?
that. I will get a house sitter because I have a cat. So I will get somebody in. And the last time when I was in January when I was away, I had a house sitter, cat sitter in my home. So and
Good.
she was great. Yeah,
Okay.
Black woman. She was great. Yeah.
No
Hmm.
complaints, and your cat is was not holding a grudge against you next time you saw your cat? I don't. Your
She
cat's a
was
boy,
so
right?
spoiled. The
Okay. Oh,
girl, she was so, this girl, I mean, the house sitter, I had actually had two. One was from Trusted House Sitters, one, the second month was a friend.
okay.
Both of them spoil my cat. They came back, there were new toys all over the place. They bought her a new water fountain, and like, she's like, I'm not drinking out of that bowl anymore. I want water that, she's like,
My water circulates. Thank you.
I want the circulating water now. That bowl, you might as well throw it out.
Oh, that's nice.
And
That's
all
really
the food they got her like this. I mean, I was like, what is this? She was like, okay, we've gone up a level now, so keep it up.
hmm
So yeah, she was fine.
That's
Yeah.
good. So you don't feel. So do you remember how you felt leaving for the first time using a trusted house sitter's help?
Um, yeah, I was a little nervous. She was actually, I was able to meet her in person. She came like early, like to just come and meet the cat, meet me, and, figure out the house systems and stuff. And my house is a little, like, it's like almost 100 years old. So there's stuff that happens.
Mhm.
It's just an old house.
Yeah.
So I was a little nervous just about that. But it was fine. It was good. It was good to have somebody in my house. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Even without pets, I think, which what I'm now learning is more common. Even without pets, you just don't want your stuff.
Just
Anything
sitting
could pop
there.
up. You just don't want your stuff
Yeah.
just sitting there all by itself.
Yeah.
It's
Getting
nice
all
to have
musty and
it there.
yeah.
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 That's right. For you said musty, right? You don't want to get some air circulating. Also,
Hmm.
like I don't know, anything could happen. All I can think of is
Yeah. Pipes bursting in the winter.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All I can think of is disastrous stuff, but small things.
Hmm.
If
Yeah.
we're going to go below freezing, somebody there to
Yeah.
make sure to keep the water running or do something. Small thing.
Exactly.
It's
Hmm.
nice to keep somebody in there. My house in Wilmington was an old house too, and I
Hmm.
wouldn't. It was built in like 19 something teen, right? And
Hmm.
I wouldn't want to leave it for weeks and weeks at a time,
Hmm.
right? You want
Yeah.
somebody in
Yeah.
there just to make sure that it's still standing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
good. Is there anything about house sitting that you want to make sure that we don't close this video out without talking about?
um. Yeah. I mean, like, the platform that I use and you use is like the first word is trust. Like it's built on trust, and you have to just be open to trusting people and to being trusted.
That's right.
I think there are people who have these questions about, well, what about the cameras? Well, what about the this? And what about the, what if they don't, and I mean, if you apply and they just like, they reject you automatically and they don't even send you a note saying, oh, sorry, we got to get, like they just don't want you in their house. Maybe they don't like black people. Who knows?
Yeah,
That maybe they canceled because they decided not to travel.
they're not.
But I don't take it personally. It's like, okay, they don't want me in their house. They've chose somebody else. That's fine. Um, and I always, having been on the other side of it and saying, you just kind of use your spidey sense. Like, you read all the reviews, you use your spidey sense, and you're like, well, let me just have a conversation with this person. And I feel like when I have these video chats, you sort of know.
Yeah,
It's like you have a sense of like, this could be okay, or I'm doing this. Like, I'm interested. You know what I mean? Like, either it's like a no, or it's like, could be okay, which for me is a no,
yeah.
or this is like, I'm
Right.
interested. You know
Uh,
what I mean?
uh-huh. Have you ever had can you remember a conversation where you're like, nah, this is a no?
Mhm. Yeah, I had one. It was in for Mexico City sit,
Okay.
and she was really sweet. And it was a couple, so a man and a woman, and her husband, I guess, was out walking the dog, so I didn't during the call meet the dog, and she kept saying, "Oh, the dog really pulls a lot,
Ah,
pulls a lot."
yeah.
He's really sweet, but he pulled, like she said it multiple times, and I was like, mm. And with those sidewalks in Mexico City getting
Oh,
pulled and you trip over the sidewalk, no, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had some no's too, right? One man, he
Yeah.
just was very, I just didn't like how particular he sounded, and he was going to be super particular while I was there in his home. He was just explaining how he cooks for the dog, which I'm fine
Mm-hmm.
with. I'll cook for your pets.
Yeah.
You book me, I will
Yeah.
cook if you want me to, right? But it
Mm-hmm.
was just the way he talked about it made me think he was going to check up on every little thing. He was just going to be a nuisance. And so I was like,
Mm-hmm.
later after we finished the call and afterwards, I said, unfortunately, I'm no longer available for these dates, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
We don't, we're
Exactly.
not like hemmed into anything. If it's a
Yeah,
no, it's
and
a
you
no.
shouldn't. Right, and you shouldn't second guess yourself. I think you also have to trust yourself. It's not only about trusting other people. It's also trust yourself, trust your instinct,
That's right.
trust what that you want, what you said you wanted,
Right.
and you can be flexible, you
Yeah.
know. But trust. Oh yeah, I remember I said that I wanted to make sure that I didn't have more than one dog, for example, or I didn't want to have, blah blah.
Mhm.
And again, I was flexible. I was like, I'm never going to sit for a pit bull, never will. And January, February, I sat for two pit bulls. They were so sweet. They slept in the bed with me. I mean, they were sweethearts. And I just like during the call, because I met them owners, and the owners were just super sweet, down to earth. I mean, they were so sweet. And I met the dog on the video call, and she was like wagging and wiggling and wagging and wiggling. And, and
Uh-huh.
the people were, petting the dog, and it was all sweetness and lovely. And I was like, oh, well, okay. So I'm going to go for it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're right about trusting yourself. We know the right things to do. We know what things are going to probably end up being. We know when we're entering a situation where we're probably going to end up being like, I knew I shouldn't have done that, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so we trust ourselves, and also we trust the stranger. House sitting is for people who are able to trust the stranger. If you're not able to trust
Yeah.
the stranger, you're never going to feel comfortable in the house. You're never going to
Yeah.
like. You have to be able
Yeah.
to trust the stranger. Get in practice with that. It's hard. That's hard for American people. It's really hard for
It
American.
is. Yeah, it is. And I think also a lot of, especially like in Mexico, a lot of expats have gardeners, have home, house cleaners. They have, you're giving their keys to those folks anyway. So they're kind of almost more used to people coming in and out and having the keys and helping out. So I think that also, at least with Mexico, that's kind of
Ab-
helpful.
Absolutely. House sitting kind of introduced me, helps house sitting helped me see what it looks like to have like a team, normal everyday people having a team of
Mm-hmm.
people making sure that this thing runs smoothly, this thing being their
Mm-hmm.
household and by extension, like their life, right? They
Yeah.
have a team of people. I house sat for people who I knew them because the woman who Queen introduced me to them and recommended me to house sit for them. And she used to come in and do massage for them. No, they did
Mm-hmm.
her massage. Anyway, somebody was on somebody's team as their massage therapist, right?
I love that.
Like people have teams, people are out here living their lives with teams of people making sure that their homes run smoothly, that their bodies run smoothly, that their lives run smoothly. Here we are trying to do it all by ourselves. That's ridiculous. It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's the wrong answer.
I hate it.
I appreciate house
Yeah.
sitting for showing me the way that people live.
Yeah.
I talked earlier about how house sitting showed me how women have a real imbalance in their households when they're partnered with men. But it also just showed me how so many people out there are not doing things on their own, and
Yeah.
so maybe we need to give up a little bit of our independence or whatever we call it, and
Mm.
get a team, get a group of people who
Yeah.
are invested in us doing well, and vice versa.
Mhm. Yeah. Get a Roomba, get a dog walker, get a house cleaner.
All of it,
Send
all
your
of it.
laundry out.
Have you ever house sat for someone who had a dog walker? It's really
um,
funny.
Actually, the person that I reject, didn't accept,
Uh-huh.
in Mexico City, she was the one that with the dog that pulled. She said that sometimes we know a guy who comes and walks the dogs for 4 hours for 100 pesos or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So you just WhatsApp him. He'll come take the dogs. He's one of those with the 6 dogs in Mexico
Yeah,
City. You see him all
a
the time.
pro.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. He'll take him to the dog park, let him loose. Yeah. So that was. I mean, then that's just one example. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I've
Yeah.
done it. I've done house sits where I'm the house sitter, but I'm not the dog walker. It's really next
Mm,
level. I love it. I love that. I love that.
that's
Even
nice.
because
That's
when I
nice.
do house sit for dogs, like in my mind, I always think, "Oh, I'm house sitting for a dog. We're gonna walk so much. I'm gonna get so much exercise." Meanwhile, the
Mm.
dog is stopping and sniffing every single square
They
on the
do.
sidewalk.
They
I'm not getting
do.
any exercise in. You go
Right.
with him. I'll walk later by myself.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All
Yeah.
right. So, Kat, I've linked to your YouTube channel. Do you have anything that you
Thank
want to
you.
tell people that's coming up or something else that you want to talk about?
Uh, well, nothing in particular, except that I do offer Reiki sessions, distance Reiki sessions, for people who are stressed out, people who are wanting to clear energy. And I think there's a link to that on most of my videos. So if you
Yes.
want to look at one of my napping videos or something like that. Yeah,
Wonderful.
I think
Okay.
that's a
So
good
we'll
thing.
we'll
Yeah.
see you for some nap sessions sometime soon. Which I
Nap
love.
or
I mean, I think that's
decluttering.
brilliant.
Yes.
Genius. Genius. All
Yes.
right. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
coming and
Stephanie.
sitting with us. It's so nice to see you again. I don't know when I'll
Thank
see you
you.
next time in the real world, but sometime.
Yeah.
See you in the wild.
Yeah. I thought about going to Ecuador, but
Oh,
I think I won't. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you got
Yeah.
big plans coming up in the fall. Okay, it'll be
Hmm.
sometime soon, somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a
All right. Thanks.
wonderful day, afternoon.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, friends. So that wraps up our house sitting round robin thing. I don't know what I call these videos, pop ins, I guess. Thank you so much for hanging out. Those of you who are still here. Okay, it's a long one. Thank you, those of you who are still here, for popping for joining us and joining in on this conversation. House sitting has changed my life. And that's why I keep talking about it, frankly. There are several, we talked to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 house sitters plus me. And we saw, I think, 9 different approaches to house sitting, 9 different reasons to house sitting. We saw women who are house sitting to scout out a location to move to, women who are house sitting to travel, women who are house sitting to rejuvenate, right? And reflect and road trip, house sitting for golf and beaches, right? House sitting to take a tour and visit family and friends. House sitting to get away from family and friends, right? We saw different approaches to it. We saw women who are house sitting, who house sat in big chunks, women who house sit full time, women who house sit on occasion, women who house sit in the US, women who house sit abroad. House sitting is for you. Women who house sit animals, women who house sit plants. Which, listen, Danica, next level. Except that I think, honestly, I think cats might be easier than plants. I'm gonna ponder that a little bit more. I think cats might be easier than plants because a cat will tell you what it needs. But anyway, we've seen it all. Women who house sit with children, women who house sit with animals, women who house sit with spouses, women who house sit solo, women who house sit and take their dog with them, women who house sit and leave their dog home with another house sitter, leave their cat home with another house sitter. We've seen it all. House sitting has been a wonderful way for me to see the world, to experience luxury in my life. We talked about this just last week, I think. To get away from the United States, which is another type of luxury. To meet new people. House sitting has been such an amazing gift in my life, and I love to pass it on. I have a new house sitter toolkit. A couple of the women mentioned the letter that I sent, the letter that is so helpful in getting booked to house sit. I have a toolkit, a new house sitter toolkit, and that letter is in there. This letter is the pitch letter that I send to get booked. And I think it was Ulonda who said she used that letter. She just zhuzhed it up, made it hers, made it sound like her. But this gives you the bones, the template of the exact email that I send to get booked. And that is in my new House Sitter Toolkit. So go ahead and download that at housesit.vicarious.com/toolkit. I know it's a long link, okay? But the link is in the description of this video. If you're ready to just join Trusted House Sitters, join Trusted House Sitters, right? Trusted House Sitters is the platform that we house sit through. House sits are unpaid, but you get free accommodation. Trusted House Sitters does the vetting of the house sitter. It does the vetting of the client. Trusted House Sitters also insures you. So if you accidentally burn down the kitchen by whatever you're doing, I don't do things in the kitchen that would burn down the kitchen, I don't think. That's why I use it as an example, because it's never going to happen to me. Oh, why did I say that out loud? Ooh, let me knock on it. Okay. Right? I'm not cooking enough to burn down anybody's kitchen. But if I did, Trusted House Sitters is insuring me. I am protected. And that's why I still house sit through Trusted House Sitters, even though I have a platform and I could book clients separately. And I have, but I don't anymore. I can't remember the last time I had a client who wasn't a Trusted House Sitters client. Anyway, okay. So Trusted House Sitters is the place. That's the how. If you need extra support when you download my new House Sitter Toolkit, I send you some extra support in your email. And then if you need even more support than that, I have a program. It's a course, some downloads called House Sitter School. So if you want to know, like, but what questions should I be asking in these interviews when I talk to people, and how do I book back to back, and what do you mean by setting alerts? How do I set alerts? If you want extra support, House Sitter School is there for you. If you upgrade to the House Sitter School bundle, you not only get the downloads, but you also get one group call with me. The group calls happen the first Sunday of the month. If you're available next Sunday, go ahead and get the bundle. We'll talk. If you want to put it off for a month, I wouldn't put it off more than a month. But if you want to put it off if you want to talk with me the first Sunday in September or the first Sunday in October, come on to House Sitter School by getting the bundle. Okay? All right. Okay, Latina says, thank you so much. You're welcome. I hope this was good. Yes, okay, this is what I was looking for. Sandy says, this was very informative. I'm glad. Imani L, thank you. This was awesome. We are awesome. Thank you, Imani. Okay, yeah. I really, really, really want you to house it. I don't know what else I can say except that it changed my life. It gave me an opportunity to decenter work in my life. It gave me the opportunity to see the world. It gave me the opportunity to be in places that I never thought I would like, right? Some cities and towns and even smaller than towns that I never even considered going to. It's been a wonderful thing, a wonderful gift. If you like pets or apparently plants, please consider it. Consider it, okay? All right, Michelle, this was really great. Loved all the conversations. Okay, good. And then don't forget to come back if you want to. If you didn't get all of the YouTube channel links for the ladies, come back. I'll put them in the description later, okay? All right, friends. I know it's been a long one, but thank you for being here. Hit the like button before you go if you don't mind. And thank you very much for being here. Always, as always, thank you for being an amazing community, an amazing place on the internet for us to chat, to get together, to be in community with one another. Thank you for that. I appreciate you guys so much. We're coming out of summer into fall, I think it's okay to say. I don't know when the first day of fall is, but I think it's soon. Back to school. People are starting to talk about back to school. Roshni was talking about her son going back to school, and I was like, what are you talking about? Right? We're coming into the fall, so it's time to get a little more serious on this channel. But thank you for this summer. It's been a really chill, relaxed summer. I've let you kind of dictate or guide the conversations, and that's been awesome. I'll bring some guests back, so we'll have some guests coming back very soon. Okay? But thank you for being an amazing place. Thank you for being a place that no matter how I feel when I wake up, I can't wait to hit the go live button, right? I woke up today super grumpy. I think I woke up yesterday and the day before, just like super grumpy. But it was not like, oh, now I got to do this. It was now I get to do something I love and talk to some people who I love and do some things that I love. So thank you for making that place this for me and for some other people in this community. I appreciate you guys so much. All right. Okay. See you again. Happy Saturday. Bye.